With the BBC News at 10, I'm Anna Preston. Police in Los Angeles are examining 2 vehicles as they search for a gunman who killed at least 10 people in a dance club last night during Lunar New Year celebrations. There was a standoff for a time, with police saying a white van they surrounded in the city could be linked to the shooting. The suspect's been described as an Asian man. Officials say his motive isn't clear. At a speech in Florida, the Vice President Kamala Harris condemned the shooting.
A time of a cultural celebration, and yet another community has been torn apart by senseless gun violence. All of us in this room and in our country understand this violence must stop.
The Health Secretary Steve Barclay says he's had constructive talks with union bosses about the upcoming strikes. Thousands of ambulance workers in England and Wales at the Unison, Unite and GMB unions are to walk out tomorrow in a dispute about pay. The General Secretary of the Unite union has accused the government of not talking about pay in negotiations. 3 coal plants have been told to begin warming up in case they're needed as the cold weather continues. National Grid said the sites in North Yorkshire and Nottinghamshire are on standby as a precaution. It's the second time this winter that coal plants have been told to prepare to ensure supplies. The chairman of Tesco suggested that some food producers may be using soaring rates of inflation as an excuse to raise prices more than necessary. John Allan said it was entirely possible that firms were taking advantage of the current high cost of living, and said Tesco sometimes intervened.
There have been very robust discussions between Tesco and a number of suppliers. We didn't have Heinz soup and Heinz tomato ketchup for a spell last summer when they tried to put through a large price increase at that stage. That was eventually settled. We've fallen out with other suppliers. So we do try very hard, I think, to challenge cost increases.
Football and Arsenal have retained control of the Premier League title race after a 3-2 win against Manchester United. They're 5 points clear of Manchester City, who beat Wolves 3-0. The City manager Pep Guardiola says he's only concentrating on his own side's performances as the 2 teams contend for the top.
It's not about Arsenal, so we have to improve many things of our team. And to make the first step, we'll see what happens in the future. But in general, I'm so satisfied because I know the quality of this team and how difficult it is.
And the actor Ryan Reynolds has given £1,600 to a youth football team in Wrexham to help them buy new kits. The Deadpool star, who's co-chair of Wrexham FC, made the donation after the mum of a young player set up a fundraising page. It's 3 minutes past 10.
How do we are here? You are there with our land sick.
Good evening. How are you?
BBC Radio Manchester.
I'm Alan Beswick. This is the Alan Beswick Late Night Phone-In. If you wish to join us, you can. Pick up your phone, have your say. You may talk about absolutely anything. The telephone number is 0800 218 2255. Talat's in charge. Abby's taking the calls. Luke's making it all happen. Jason's wandering about like a demented idiot, so not much change. And I'm talking nonsense for money, which is fine. If you want to talk nonsense but not for money, do feel free to ring. It won't cost you anything because it's a free phone number. The number's 0800 218 2255, and we're here until 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever else happens. As the NHS slowly strangles itself, or is, if you look at it from the other way, strangled to death for lack of funds, we read today that 631 GPs earned in excess of £200,000 each in the past 12 months. Now, that doesn't mean they're all earning that. I don't know how many GPs there are, and I suspect it's a couple of thousand at least. But 631 GPs, should we say were paid, because earned is stretching it a bit for 200 grand, isn't it? Were paid £200,000 in the past 12 months. I ask you, are they worth it? And does it cost that much to get a bloody appointment? The second man to walk on the moon has tied the knot twice as many times as as you can imagine. Because he's the second, and he's now been married 4 times. It's true. Buzz Aldrin, for it is he, has just married again at 93 years of age. Some say, like the moon itself, is a little bit cheesy, or is Buzz just being a little bit green? Cheesy, green, green. Never mind. Apparently some beauty therapists have not had the proper training to do waxing, such as the back crack and sack or the Brazilian, and yet not only do they still do it, and it's, it's a bit dodgy, they still charge the normal price. They're not fully trained, yet they charge the normal price. That's not a little bit dangerous. It's also a rip-off. I thank you. And the 8 dogs that savaged that stupid dog walker to death are to be kept in doggy prison for as long as a year, whilst the cops and the coroner ascertain which of the dogs are guilty. For God's sake, just bullet the lot and let's get on with it. Especially, I know that some of the dog owners will be upset, but, they're not that bothered about their doggo, so they walk it the bloody self. And San Francisco is considering giving every black person in the city $5 million to compensate for the years of suffering at the hand of white Americans. The cost of that, of course, will be enormous in cash terms for the citizens of San Francisco. But imagine how many white copper shoots black man in posh car cases will be if they do give every black person in the city $5 million. They're going to be driving fancy cars, which means they're black in a fancy car, drug dealer. Bang! That's how it works. Money's good. The car was good at the time. 0800 218 2255 if you want to join us. We're here till 1 o'clock. Let's get started. I'll do Glenn.
Well, wait a minute. 4 years ago, before I got to the supermarket, I was a student at the Stanley Football Club. Do you remember Eric Worley, Allan?
No.
He passed away. He was a guy who basically owned Project Stanley. You don't know him now? Eric Worley? No. Well, that's it. He was a guy who, he's passed away a bit. He basically run after his football club. So this ground, at the moment, has a lot of money spent on it. It's got a new club around £6,000 million. It's basically, I don't even jacket Charlie, but it's basically all the ground brand new. Someone invested a lot of money. Now, my uncle, my dad's brother, was the person that got me the job at Acker's Charlie before I knew as a steward. Yeah. Now, I was thinking, on a Saturday, I do a 5 to the supermarket, so I think, why not have a change? And, I get paid £35 for a steward at Acker's Charlie. Work at Acker's Charlie on Saturday afternoon and drop me Saturday at Tesco. It's always Tesco, but I'm going to do a change and go and work for the steward. I can see I can get me a job there. Like Acker's Charlie, as a steward. I get paid £35 again, back at Charlie.
Well, the thing you have to remember is that at Accrington Stanley, presumably they only pay stewards when the team's playing, and half the Saturdays one presumes it'll be playing away, and then it won't be playing through the summer. So you'll have a lot fewer Saturdays pay.
Yeah, you're right. But I just think I could watch games and it might be. I've been at the supermarket for a long time. Well,
indeed, but I mean, I have a couple of nephews, or my wife has a couple of nephews who used to be stewards at Manchester United when they were students, and they thought, well, at least we'll see the game for now. They never saw the game. They had to stand with their back to the game watching the crowd because they were students.
Mm-hmm. But when I can tell it weren't like that, you was like something.
I don't know what it's like there. I was just warning you that you may give up something you've got in return for something that isn't going to be as productive as you think, because you're not going to earn money every Saturday, and you're unlikely to earn money right through the summer. So
you mean like I could be financially worse off, you think?
Well,
financially worse off, you think?
I don't know the numbers and I don't want to know them. It's for you to consider whether you think it's worth doing. But bear in mind
when I was down there playing on, there's a lot of trouble at times then to be There's guys drinking in the other pubs in town and try to place. Why is that? Because when I was shooting, I tell me they got to like that.
Well, I don't know why that is. I don't understand why anybody drinks alcohol. I think it's balmy. And I don't understand why people get drunk and cause trouble, except that they're stupid people. And there's quite a lot of them, for some awful reason, that goes to football. I don't know why that is.
I feel like they release the porters and they're fighting with police drunk, and I think, well, what's the meaning of that? What they get from it? They're attacking police officers. Can you give me more to that? You know?
Well, they're just immature, stupid people.
Yeah.
Who think that? They can't even hold their drink. Have a good one. Ta-ra now. 0800 218 2255. I'll do Lindsay.
Good evening. Thugs, that's what they are.
Aye.
Who can't control the drink. I'd like to talk about politics. I went off politics for a long time, but I've gone back on it now because there's a programme on the telly, Talk TV, I think it is, and Jeremy every night, not every night, Monday to Thursday, it's on at 7 o'clock. And he's talking about politics and interviews MPs. If anyone is interested in Mrs. Jeremy Kyle on TV.
Right.
Okay.
I've never seen it, so I'm in a position of having nothing to add. I've never seen it.
You'll probably enjoy it. It's on at 7 o'clock because you're interested in politics. Sorry, I'm losing my voice when I talk.
It's all right. Well, if you find it again, you can give us a call. Right. 0800 218 2255. I'll do James. Hello, James. It doesn't work if you don't speak, James. I suppose you could punch your Morse code. I'll do Chris.
Hello, Al. Happy New Year.
Hello, Chris. Thank you.
I had a point to make out something else, but what was your first caller talking about? I missed that.
He was talking... Hooliganism? There was an element of that, yes.
Yeah, I just heard a bit about stewards. I've worked as a steward at the DW Stadium in Wigan.
Yeah.
And I found that the Hull KR fans were a lot worse than a lot of football fans.
Right.
So if you're talking about hooliganism, it's not just a football thing. But I didn't hear everything he said, so I can't comment on it.
That's okay.
What I was going to talk about is he said about GPs getting higher salaries.
Well, I didn't say all of them, but yes.
I'm in full support of the nurses and the paramedics going on strike. But a GP is outside of that. GPs run their surgeries like businesses, and they're given a lump sum which they can use to treat or refer patients in their clinic, or they could keep it as profit. So if they're getting a pay rise, it's completely separate from any other workers in the NHS. It's down to themselves.
Indeed, GPs are not going on strike because they're self-employed. There would be little point. They can't get their they can't get their employer to pay them anymore because they are their employer.
Yeah. Sorry. I think that's one of the many problems we have with our NHS. It's been slowly privatised since 1979, and going back before that, they even started bringing in extra charges on prescriptions, which was used to pay for our involvement in the Korean War. So the pure NHS, as it was founded, lasted for about 5 years. And I think that's very sad.
Well, when I was a kid, prescriptions were free. So prescriptions...
Yeah, I don't mean to be rude, but how old are you? How far back are you going?
I don't know how far back I'm going. I'm 74 in answer to your first question. But the prescription charge was introduced by a government that needed money fairly quickly and introduced it at a fairly low level, and it's been increased a couple of times since then.
Was that about
in Wales, I don't know. I was only 4 then, so I probably wouldn't have been taking much cognizance of it. But as I say, prescription charges were free to all for a while. I don't know how long, and then at some point a government decided that it was easy money, or whatever reason they gave, and they decided to introduce charges. And Wales, where I now live, the prescription charges are 0. So, different areas of the United Kingdom charge different rates.
Yeah, in my opinion, it should be 0 everywhere in Britain. And I'm not an expert on these matters. I've got a moral compass. But just for you and any other listeners, if they could find out anything that Dr. Bob Gill says about the NHS.
We don't do names on this programme, so...
Sorry, well, I've already
I'll do Mark. It's all right. Good night, anyway. I'll do Mark.
How do I think you've won the argument.
I didn't think there was one.
Yeah, there was. Morecambe are getting 50 million quid for the Eden project.
Oh, that thing, yes.
Well, I've just been Googling how many times can you use the word
And what was the answer?
The answer was it couldn't compute. There was no logical answer to that. It can use it in every 3 words. So 50 million quid.
When you said herb, which would be herb or right.
ERM.
ERM, right. Okay.
So Google didn't come up with an answer. How many times do you allow to use that in a sentence? So anyway, £50 million to the Eden project in Morecambe.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. Michael Gove can't even do one leg up behind the other next to Eric Morecambe.
How relevant is that? I have some trouble with that. I don't suppose Michael Gove is that good. I don't suppose Michael Gove is as good as Eric Morecambe at singing "Bring Me Sunshine." But where's the relevance?
Yeah,
how high he can get his leg?
He could definitely not bring you sunshine, and neither could bloody Rishi Sunak without a seatbelt in the back of his bloody car.
Right. Your thought process is a little disorganised, Mark. So what is your view about the Eden project? Pardon? What is your opinion of the Eden project?
I would like it to work, but
I
don't think it will.
Right. And why is it that you think it won't work? First of all, we'll go on to what you think we need in its stead. But why is it you think it won't work?
Just because it's in the wrong place.
What, Morecambe?
We've had this conversation before. It should be in the Lake District.
It should be in the Lake District. Why?
Yes.
The Lake District's not short of visitors, is it?
Well, Southern Lake District is short of visitors. The Northern Lake District, the Windermere, Ambleside, Keswick, those places are very frequently visited. But the other places, I don't think Morecambe, which is a little small Blackpool,
Indeed.
is the
Why?
best
Why?
way.
Without getting into the possible other geographic locations, why is it that you think it won't work in Morecambe?
Where
will
are
stop
you
it
from,
working?
Where are you from, Alan?
Well, I'm from Warrington, but I don't know how that addresses the question that the point you're making. Why do you think it won't work in Morecambe?
You're only 50 miles away, so you know the area, don't you?
I know Morecambe
You know
reasonably
very
well, yes. However far away I am, why do you think it won't work in Morecambe?
I just think it won't attract the people that would love to see something like that, because they will want to go there to see that. Then they won't, when they walk out of the Eden, they won't be happy with the surrounding area.
Well,
I think
when
the whole area needs revamping.
When the Royal Horticultural Society decided that they wanted to put one of their principal, a huge garden in Salford, when you drive to it, you come off the motorway. A motorway runs across the eastern edge of it. There's a main road the other way. It's not a particular salubrious area, and it's an enormous success. Why do you think Morecambe won't be? I'm glad you can imagine. What will prevent it from working in Morecambe? What will stop people coming to Morecambe?
Because it's already not substantially populated. It's a very... it's digressed. It's there's not that many people there.
But the idea of the Eden Project, isn't to satisfy the needs of the people of Morecambe, in that they'll have somewhere nice in their area to visit. It's to attract visitors to Morecambe. Now, the very essence of a visitor is they don't live there. People, at the moment, people drive all the way to Cornwall from Morecambe to go and see the Eden Project. Now, I'm not suggesting people of Cornwall will come here, but lots and lots of people might do.
Yes, but lots and lots of people might come to Blackpool during September to January to go through the lights, go out the other end, and go up to the Lake District, and not stay.
Indeed, I'm not altogether sure how. I'm not altogether sure how many people go to the lights and then, when they finish their journey, drive to the Lake District. The Lake District is kind of dead at that time of year, as indeed would Blackpool be if it were not for the lights. Maybe an all year round attraction is something that Morecambe could benefit from. Who knows?
Well, the Lake District does benefit all year round from the Asian community for the Beatrix Potter exhibition.
Well, and they travel all that way to the Beatrix Potter exhibition, but they won't travel. But they won't travel to Morecambe. What do you not like about Morecambe?
I love Morecambe. I work there a lot.
But you don't think anyone would be arsed driving there, despite the fact they'll drive all the way to the Lake District to look at a little house?
Because they'll look at the Eden Project on the promenade, and they'll be able to see the Silverdale and Arnside Hills in the background over the bay.
Well, they'll be stood there. They'll be stood there on the Mark. The picture you're painting. Mark, the picture you're painting, indeed,
and see the dishevelled hotels and the
I've just got this image that I find fascinating. They're stood on the promenade at Morecambe. They look at the Eden Project, and then they look across at the hills, and they think, "Stuff it, let's go there." Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Well, they probably will. But when they turn around and go back in the
Mark. Let's hope before they set off they have a cup of coffee, which will probably double the income of Morecambe. Have a good night, mate. 0800 218 2255. So they'll be stood there at the door of the Eden Project on Morecambe Promenade, just about to hand over their 50 quid for their family or whatever the price is these days, and they get a glimpse of the Silverdale Hills, and they say, hang on a minute, hang on. We're not coming in. We're going there. Where is it? Well, what you have to do is you have to go to the motorway, and then you go up the motorway, and then you go left, and then you go there, and then you go there, and then you get there, and when you get there, it'll be shut. We're open. Come in. I'll do James.
Good evening.
Good evening.
2 weeks ago, you mentioned no such thing as common sense. Can you explain what you meant?
James, can you just move the telephone very slightly further away from your mouth, because it's crackling.
Is that better?
A little bit, yeah.
Is that better?
Carry on. What did you say?
You said 2 weeks ago, no such thing as common sense.
Oh, well,
Can you explain when you
we're back crackling. Hang on, we're back crackling again. You're doing something what we call over-modding, which means I can't hear what you're saying properly.
How's that?
Well, it's a little bit at the moment. But go on, let's
How's
try.
that? When you said 2 weeks ago, no such thing as common sense, I'd explain what you meant.
I don't think there's common sense. I don't think sense is a common existence in our society.
No, I thought when you're born, that's what you're born with.
No, you're not born with anything at all. You can just about breathe. You can't even control your bowels when you're born.
I mean, when you learn how to speak.
Well, when you're learning how to speak, you learn that almost exclusively by rote.
Oh, well, maybe you're right, but I assume that you're born with common sense.
Well, if you think you're born with common sense, how come quite a lot of people in later life have forgotten about it? I mean, you're born with legs. They don't just fall off when you're about 93, do they? Or indeed when you're 19. You've still got them because you're born with them. Well, your common sense, if you're born with it, would still be around for most of your life, but it doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, but it makes sense. You also said no such thing as justice, but it works sometimes.
Well, there is no such thing as justice.
But it does work sometimes.
What works? What's working?
Well, for instance, if someone commits a crime, you go to court in front of a jury, and then you're guilty, go to jail. That's justice.
Mm-hmm. That's the justice system, but that's falsely named. It's the punishment that's discouraging them from continuing on the path on which they're embarked.
Well, that makes sense.
I know.
And that's all I want to say.
There's no such thing as justice. If you steal £500 from somebody and go to jail and get 10 years in jail, they're still 500 quid short. So they don't think it's justice.
Yeah, you have a point. That's clear enough, that's clear.
All right, mate. Good to hear from you. Thank you very much. Do have a good night. 0800 218 2255. So there's no such thing as common sense, according to Beswick, who knows sod all. And there's no such thing as justice, according to Beswick, who knows sod all. How do Keith?
Well, hello, Alan. I'm not going to mention about the people because it might be slightly embarrassing. But some years ago, my wife and myself were invited to a birthday party. And it was a lady school teacher that had known my wife ever since they were 4-year-old. Anyway, we went and we were talking to her and her husband. And after a while, a lady came up to me with her husband. And she was a school teacher, retired. And she said, "Oh, hello, Keith. It's quite a while, isn't it, since we had a chat?" And I said, "Yes, it is, such a body." And then she said, "I believe you haven't been too well lately." And, I said, "This cancer job." I said, "But I'm fine now." I said, "Really, I didn't realise that I had it." And I said, the treatment was good. And then she asked me 1 or 2 more things, and I said, "The only thing is," I said, "with this hormone treatment, I'm tending to grow breasts." And she said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, have a feel." And she did.
Marvellous. Did you enjoy it?
Well, her husband, he were a quiet man, nice chap. Well, he started laughing, and there were 1 or 2 people around. I mean, they'd heard this, and even she finished up laughing as well, so it were all right.
It's all right. Reminds me of the windscreen wiper joke, but I won't tell it. But have a good night, Keith. Excellent.
Have you a minute?
I'll do. Oh, sorry, I thought you were going. Go on. I've got a minute. Yeah, I've got
A
3 hours.
couple of jokes. There's a chap books in at the hotel, and he goes up to his room and he pulls the bed sheets back, and there's a dead bug there. Anyway, I got on to the reception. He said, "Hey, there's a dead bug in my bed." And the bloke said, "Well, that's not too bad, sir." He said, "At least it's dead." He said, "It's not that." He said, "You want the sick bloody send-off it's getting from its mates."
Very good, yeah.
General Custer. It's the little bigger one, you know, the fight. And he's saying to one of his officers, he says, "I can't understand these Indians." He said, "They seem to be enjoying themselves at that dance last night."
Right, I don't get that one, but never mind.
War dance.
Oh, I see. Right, okay. Fantastic. Thank you. Have a good night. I'll do Craig.
Hello, Alan.
What would you like to talk about, Craig?
Yeah, I was just saying about Morecambe. The only time you go to Morecambe is when you miss your turn-off for Blackpool, really.
Indeed, at the moment, but that's what they're trying to change.
Yeah, and it's like I say, it's a bit of a drive up and a bit of a drive back down, isn't it?
Well, maybe at the moment, but that's what they're trying to change, he said, repeating himself.
Yeah, oh, well, that's the one anyhow. Thank you very much, Alan.
That's all right, it's been a joy. 0800 218 2255. Suddenly people are having a go at Morecambe. I know it's less popular than it was, particularly after B. Lewis and Sons, the ice cream people, disappeared. But that's the whole point, isn't it? It's not very popular. Let us put something there which might prove to be popular. I mean, I know they tried it with Noel Edmonds' Mr. Blobby, and that was a complete disaster, and I had 12 years looking for compensation all over the place. I don't know how that ended up and don't care. But you give it a try. The Eden Project has proven in Cornwall to be enormously successful. So perhaps it could be successful in Morecambe. You can't really criticise a trier, can you? How do, Kath? Hello, Kath.
Oh, sorry. Hello. Sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah. I just sneezed. I'm sorry.
Well,
yeah, I was just
can't help that.
No. I'm just wondering, Alan, if you probably have heard of the SAD disease that people get.
You mean this seasonally affective disorder, yeah?
Yeah. I was just wondering if you could enlighten on some of the symptoms. Maybe not. I don't know.
As I understand it, it's people feel, let's say, all their enthusiasm disappears. They feel lethargic and they don't have a lot of energy because they are getting, the explanation goes, they're getting insufficient daylight in their lives and not therefore getting the, what is it called, serotonin? I forgot what it's called now, but the sun gives us all sorts of things. It gives us vitamin D and serotonin, I think it's called. I can't remember the proper name for it now, but
something like that. Honestly.
So yeah, so it's that kind of thing. So that's the argument.
Right, and I don't know whether you know or not, but several people get it, don't they? The reason why I rang it is because since about a week into January, I've become very lethargic and all that you've described. But I've become very weepy with it. Now, maybe I should speak to a GP. I don't really know. But I know I have no energy and I feel very, very sleepy all the time. And I'm not the bubbly person I used to be.
Has there been any... Sorry. Has there been any change in your lifestyle? By that I mean, are you no longer seeing people that you used to, and that's brought it on, or what have you? Because the symptoms you describe, whilst they could be applied to SAD, could be applied to all sorts of other emotional conditions as well.
Well, yes, there are, but and it is quite upsetting. We had me and my daughters had a fallout nearly 12 months ago now, and I can't make amends with them. And also, I stopped smoking way back last year, and I just put it down to not being not having the nicotine. I know it only lasts for so long. But I really don't know which way to turn, if you like. It's like I love all my children, and it's just unfortunate that it's become such a problem that I can't contact them. I said something to one of them which was out of order, I know that, and I've tried to explain this. At the time, I was just recovering from COVID, which was really, really hard for me. I'd never felt so ill in all my life. And I remember a GP saying if these antibiotics don't work, then the next step will have to go into hospital to have IVF antibiotics. So then I knew that I was very, very ill.
Okay, you don't have to tell me this, because bear in mind you're on the radio, but you've not told us why you were being prescribed antibiotics.
I had a very, very bad chest infection with the COVID.
Right.
And my breathing became erratic, where I couldn't get my peat flow. I couldn't get a deep breath in. And that's when they decided these don't work, because I'd had a course of antibiotics and still didn't feel any different. And my blood pressure was way above what it should have been. Plus my temperature was like hypothermia. Didn't reach above 32, although I was sweating, but my hands and my feet were like 2 blocks of ice. And to be honest with you, Alan, I still think that it takes a long, long time to become yourself again after the COVID.
Yeah.
It was such a nasty, nasty illness. If you haven't had it, then sorry.
It's okay. There's a condition now that's becoming more recognised, and that's, instead of COVID, they describe it as long COVID. And there are quite a lot of people who had COVID and are still not fully recovered from it. The symptoms are still bugging them. So it could be that. I'm not a doctor, by the way, but it could be that, for example. It could also be an element of depression because of the way your life has been changed dramatically. The fallout with your daughter, it was a year ago, you're still fretting about it. So it could be an element of depression in that. You really need to talk to someone with medical knowledge. The chances of it being SAD are limited by the fact that it came on, you say, in January. Well, the light is a little better in January because of the change of clocks, as it were, and the change of season. The light is a little better in January than it is in December. So it might be that, I've no idea. But the symptoms you describe could apply to an awful lot of different conditions. So the person you need to talk to is your GP, really. I'm not fobbing you off and saying get off my programme. I'm just saying that to self-diagnose with SAD, you could end up getting in touch with some organisation and they say, oh, what you need is a bright light, and they send you a light box to stare into every night, and it doesn't make a blind bit of difference. Pardon the pun. There again, it might. But you're probably better off getting a diagnosis of what you have. You see, if the antibiotics didn't work, there could be a reason for that. It could be that your body's resistant to that particular one, and the doctor could prescribe a different one. It could be that your infection is such that it needs something rather more dramatic than taking a tablet. As you say, it may well be that you need intravenous antibiotics. That's a matter for a doctor. But you need to be talking to a doctor and not just going and saying, my cough's not gone, doc, but telling them about these other symptoms, because the doctor might then link and say, hang on a minute, it sounds like you've got long COVID, which is not a good diagnosis because it's a beggar to treat if it can be treated at all and requires time to fix it, I am told. I've not got it, fortunately, but those that have, that's what they seem to be saying about it. But your symptoms, whilst they could apply to SAD, could apply to depression, and when something dramatic and emotionally painful happens in your life, people often get depressed, sad if you like. When someone close to you dies, you get sad, and if you don't, then perhaps that's when there's something wrong with you, because you should get sad. It's called reactive depression. Well, you've had a major emotional trauma in your life, and it could be that you've got some depression as a result of that. It's wearing you down. You feel, you sound, I mean, slap me around the ears if you disagree, but you sound like you are a little bit, you're certainly regretful of what you said, and maybe even a little ashamed that you said it. And your emotions have got to deal with all that. When you say, and this is slightly tangential, when you say you've tried to explain to your daughter why you said it, can I suggest to you that you will never, ever explain it away, whatever it was. I don't know what it was, it doesn't matter, because she's made her decision. What you need to do, or what you need to consider doing, I don't give advice, but one of the things you need to consider is just saying, look, what I said, I totally and utterly, unreservedly apologise for. I am deeply, deeply sorry. And don't then add for the pain that has caused you, because that's not an apology. Just say, I apologise for what I did. And that gives her the option and the ability possibly to get past it. But if you go in there and say, listen, the reason I said it, all you're doing is repeating it. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, totally. I think sometimes being an ex-nurse, you tend to put these things off mentally and physically.
Yeah.
The thing is, I feel absolutely, well, whatever, I do feel bad about it. And the worst thing is that I don't see my grandchildren, and that is really hard hitting, because one of my grandsons is terribly autistic. He's mute, he doesn't speak, and I miss him so dearly.
Well, what you need to consider is, you're telling me the pain you're suffering because of not seeing your grandchildren, which you've sort of said it's probably my fault, what have you. But you don't need to say that to your daughter, because if you say to your daughter, I apologise because I really want to see my grandchildren, you're not apologising. You're saying this is the price I'm paying to see the kids. So your apology needs, if you do it, I merely suggest, and it might not work, but your apology needs to be purely and entirely an apology with nothing attached to it. Not, I am sorry because, but I am sorry. I apologise unreservedly, which means I have no I'm not asking for anything. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm just saying I am sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Not easy. All right. And consider having a word with your GP about your symptoms, but tell your GP all of the symptoms you're experiencing, not just the rattly chest, which is in its own right a pig to have.
It is. It is. It is.
Well, it steals your energy. It steals your energy because it steals your oxygen, and without that, we're screwed.
I know. Oh, I couldn't breathe when I was coming up the stairs. I thought, this is not right.
Well, talk to your doctor, because there are a whole range of things that it could be. I'm not going to say them because I'm not a doctor, but there are a whole range of things it could be. So talk to your doctor.
I will do. Thank you very much indeed.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for talking to us. Have a good night, Kath. 0800 218 2255. How do Robert?
Me, Rob Cowell.
I don't know your name. I've just got Robert.
Yeah, okay, Robert. Yeah, Allan. I called you once upon a time, a few months ago, just to see if you were still existing, and just a few things, because a bit the last topic, a bit heavy, and very deep, and I was empathising. But meanwhile, I want to talk about, if you don't mind, pet ownership, cats, dogs, trackers, and insurance.
Okay.
Sort of jam. So I'm just wondering, why are there so many dogs on the street, and everybody's got a dog?
Well, a lot of people have got dogs. I haven't.
Well, I haven't. There is one I'd like, but yeah. But what about cats, Allan? Do you like cats?
Yeah.
Excellent. So we've got cats and dogs and all this media, pet ownership, insurance and trackers. I'm thinking, hang on, get a dog, get a insurance, get a tracker, and I'm thinking,
what's a tracker?
I don't know. I've seen it on some films. It's like a device that you get attached to your animal, and you can watch it on your mobile phone or something. Or I don't know anything about it.
Right. Okay.
I don't know much about it, but and all these so many. I'm thinking about getting a cat, Allan. That's all.
Okay.
A cat, like a Maine Coop or a Maine Coon, one of those big ones, proper one, instead of a dog. There you go.
Cats and dogs are entirely different pets. I mean, you won't be needing to take a cat for a walk.
Yeah.
But there again, it's unlikely to attack a burglar if it comes in the house.
Yeah. So you're suggesting that maybe a guard dog is useful?
No, I'm pointing out the difference in pet ownership of a cat and a dog. A dog brings with it a series of responsibilities and, I presume, pleasures, although I wouldn't get any pleasure out of a dog. And a cat brings its own set of responsibilities and pleasures. And you need to choose which investment in time and energy you wish to make and what you want in return. If you want something that's going to obey your every command and sit there smiling at you in the night thinking, I wonder if he'll take me for a walk, I wonder if he loves me as much as I love him, I don't get a cat because he doesn't. A cat. There's an old expression, and that is that dogs dogs have owners, cats have staff.
Yeah, hey, that's I don't. You are. I presume you're in Manchester whilst you're doing this. You might be in Blackburn or somewhere, I don't know, local to me. Yeah, but you sound like you're local, Allan. Was it 90? I don't know how old you are, but yeah. Not to get personal, but are you from round here? I'm from Longridge. There you go.
Right.
I've broken the rules.
I know where you are. Well, it's fine. It's not a rule. You've said you're from Longridge. I'm not. I'm from Warrington.
What? wow, I'm not good at... Yeah, that's... oh, wow. I'm not good at geography, Alan. I'm thinking, is it near Chorley? I'm guessing now.
No.
I'm so rubbish at geography.
Warrington
So,
is
what you
roughly...
suggesting? Sorry, Alan, go on.
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just pointing out that before you decide which animal to get, you need to work out what it's going to involve, how it's going to involve you, how you're going to interact with it, and what work you're going to have to put in. If you take a cat for a walk, you won't have to carry its crap home.
Yeah, yeah. There is that angle, I suppose. Yeah. Wow. Anyway, Alan, it's been lovely speaking with you. And I'll harangue you, maybe in a few months, just to talk about, I don't know, traffic and benefits and whatever, vitamin D and light effects of emotional. Anyway, thanks, Alan. Hey, are you still there?
Do have a good night.
Hey, you people off, Alan.
Okay, well, I'll do it now. I'll do Roger.
Hello, Alan. Thank God for that.
Oh, indeed.
Can I firstly say, Alan, please? Is it me? Am I on?
You are.
Alan? Right. Oh, thank God you're still on air. I thought you'd gone off air 2 years ago. You know, when you said... I thought, at the end of the contract, I retired. You've done a Ken Booth on us. Right. Don't go off air, though, please, because I listen to it every night. But may I say... It's subject to alcohol. Am I okay to talk about it?
Yeah.
It's a very, very dangerous substance. To anyone who's listening to this, please take heed. It's so dangerous, it will kill you. You know, the NHS...
In what day
dangerous
is it?
when you overdo it, Alan. I know, I overdone it. Let's start with that one. I overdone
But if somebody just has a glass of wine once a fortnight,
yeah, a nice
that's
tipple
unlikely
with
to prove
like
dangerous.
the Italians do, yeah, I get that. But I overdone it, and it's a very dangerous substance. I've landed up with a terminal illness, disease, illness, and now I've got a stake. I'm only 50 odd, and it's called peripheral neuropathy. I don't know if you recognise that word. It took me about nearly a year to work it out. Your brain doesn't tell your limbs what to do. So now I have to get up very slowly and dance. And I don't mean dance in a nice way. Get your balance. It affects everything. It's so dangerous, alcohol. It sounds a bit sad talking because New Year and Christmas and all that. And I don't know why they sell it, Alan. You know.
Because
cannabis and all that.
Because for most people it's not harmful if used occasionally.
Sensibly. Perhaps I'm not so sensible. I've always been a clever lad. I can spell and, you know, it's very dangerous. Do you not think the government should limit the use of it? How would they do that? I don't know.
Well, I don't think they can limit the use of it if
you can go to the corner shop, Alan, and buy it limitless. It's ridiculous.
Yes, but you know, alcohol is dangerous. Can I tell you that gas is dangerous?
Yeah, they've all sniffing that. We've seen all the things on the side of the pavement. Laughing gas, whatever.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just telling you, gas is dangerous, and yet most of us have it in our houses and use it frequently. We don't kill us. We don't ban things because they're dangerous. We just teach people not to be stupid.
I love your voice, Al. Right, can we discuss this, please? How do we make it not so dangerous, then? If it's nice to have a glass of wine
They can't make it not so dangerous. They do have low alcohol drinks. They even have no alcohol pretend drinks. You can get alcohol-free wine, alcohol-free beer. You can get alcohol-free all sorts. But if somebody wants an alcoholic drink, then an alcohol-free drink won't cut it for them. I will never, ever be an alcoholic because I don't drink. I think it's horrible stuff.
Well, I'm
but
a clever...
Most people... It's not about clever. Most people who use alcohol use it without doing themselves considerable harm.
But it gets you, Alan, if I may say.
No, it doesn't. It only gets you if you.
You know.
It only gets you if you're that kind of person. There are many ways of defining that kind of person, but not everybody who consumes alcohol, even if they consume it regularly, becomes an alcoholic. Indeed, it is a minority, a small minority, that do.
It's absolutely dreadful. You know, it must be, I'm one of them people then, Alan. They say an addictive personality, whatever they call it. It's dreadful. I couldn't even sit up at my hospital bed. That was a year ago, roughly today. And I couldn't even sit up in my bed, mate. But
how much
God
do you
bless
drink
the NHS for what they've done to me. On another subject, alcohol, they deserve a good pay, you know.
And before we go, Roger, how much alcohol do you drink now?
None at all. I can't drink now. They said it'll kill me.
No, that's fine. That's good. It's a shame you left it so long.
I can't drink, Alan. But I would love to, but I daren't, because they said an egg cup would kill me. And you know, the NHS, I went briefly on another note, they followed me through and they're not letting me go. They're looking after me. I'm going for the kidney scan, liver scan, sorry, on the 7th of next month. They're great. And I don't know why they're on strike, because people have suffered, haven't they, obviously, but they deserve, you know, they're angels. They are. They're truly angels. I'll leave you at that, Alan. People are trying to get through, brother. Thanks a lot. Okay. God bless. I'm glad you're still on there, by the way. Ta-ra, mate.
Indeed, I am.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ra now. 0800 218 2255. I'll do Kath.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Hiya, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Hiya. Yeah, well, firstly, the guy who wants to get a pet, I don't think he should bother, because he doesn't even know what he's on with. And it's not just a little nothing. It's for a long, long time the life of that animal. I've got a cat, I've had him 10 years. He drives me up the wall, but, you know, I love him and I made a commitment.
That's what they do, Kath.
And you're not even joking. Oh, it's like Rupert the Bear. There's a million stories to be told about the things he's done. So, yeah, no, don't even bother until you decide what you're on with. No, what I've actually rung for is my namesake, Cath, the nurse lady. Touched my heart, Alan. It just feels like a parallel life of mine. My situation, I spoke to you before, I've got myalgic encephalitis, CFS. It stemmed from a huge trauma with my son, okay? Don't want to go into any detail. You and I both don't like that. But it's very similar. I too have 2 grandchildren who I don't see. It actually hurts me to say this out loud, Alan. I didn't think it would, sorry. I'm sorry. It's a feeling deep inside that only a mother would ever understand, and my heart goes out to Kath, because health-wise and trauma-wise, she definitely needs to see a GP and chase up, because God forbid it could be ME. Could just be seasonal affective disorder, but needs checking out. Could be a thyroid, could be a Vit D thing. I don't know. But honestly, my heart goes out to Kath. If you're listening still, I'm just with you. You know what I mean? It's awful. Never leaves you. It haunts you. It's been 7-8 years for me personally, since the traumatic event of the estrangement, as it were. And I go on this like ME forum. You know, like, I find it quite helpful, the odd thread. And a lot of it seems to stem from some sort of trauma that
And also, I've had COVID, by the way. I've had the most horrendous flu. December was a write-off. It was almost as bad as COVID, and they do say it is a bit like PVS, post-viral fatigue, where you get this horrendous, grim lurgy, and it never fully gets off you, if you can understand that. And that's basically long COVID, or Epstein-Barr, or ME. And I just hope she finds an answer. I hope she gets reunited with her daughter and all and everything, because I didn't manage it. I said sorry a million times, but a million sorries were never enough, because they didn't want it. And when I broke it down, I thought, you know what, you're not actually really a nice person. And 7-8 years on, I think, well, my goodness me, you can choose your friends, but you cannot choose your family. And it's a catalogue of unfortunate events. As my dad used to put it, God love him, there's many a slip twixt cup and lip. I just want to tell that lady, never give up hope. Just never give up. She's a nurse as well, so my heart goes out to her more than nurses. Never. I've got a friend, one of my best friends, a nurse. Nurses never, they're renowned for this, they never look after their own health, because they're always too busy looking after everybody else.
Okay. Kath, thank you very much indeed. 0800 218 2255. If you wish to join us, you may get the gist. If you've joined us for the first time listening, then we are a broad church. You can talk about absolutely anything. We're here till 1 o'clock. It's just after 11, so a couple of hours to go. How do Gary?
Hello, Alan.
Hello, Gary.
Hello. Alan, would you say you're a fairly egregious person?
A fairly what?
Egregious person.
I don't know.
Anyway, just a couple of crappy jokes. Baker the sandwich walks into a bar. Barman says, "Sorry, we don't serve breakfast here."
Oh, very good.
Boom, boom. I said to my wife last night, I think you've drawn your eyebrows a little bit too high. She looks surprised.
Oh, very good, yes.
That's it. Thank you, Alan. Good night.
Good night. 0800 218 2255. How do Graham?
Hi, Alan. You all right?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. We were on about Morecambe and Blobby and things like that. There's an online auction site, and the old costume that Mr. Blobby had 25, 30 years ago, remember the pink thing?
Yeah.
Meant to have a form. It's on for 61,000, and there's about 3 days to go. £61,000. You can Google it. Well, you can have a look on the online auction site. Well known.
No, I'll take your word for it. I know that I am never surprised at the stupidity of humans.
Exactly. It looks horrible. It's been kicked around, and it's on at 61,100, I think, in about 3 days left. But I just thought I'd ring up and throw it in there.
Right. I must get my bid in straight away.
I thought you might, yeah. That's it.
Very good, right. Well, unless it's filled with gold, they can stick it. But, you know, if some clown buys it, there again, it may well be just a ghastly joke where a series of people are phoning up and say, or logging on and say, I'll have it, and outbidding each other. And then when it comes to the crunch, they all disappear into the sand, which would really be funny.
It would. Yeah, it would. I just thought I'd throw it in there. A bit different.
Well, thank you. Okay. Thank you. I hope everybody hasn't gone now, logging on to put their bid in. Thanks, Graham. Have a good night. How do Stephen?
Oh, hi, Alan. Hi, mate.
Oh, yeah.
You know about adoption, Alan?
I know
but
what it is.
Have you ever heard of forced adoption?
Yes.
Without parental consent?
Yes.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me and my partner back in 2012. It's very belated news, this, but my daughter since has been, she was in foster care, and then she was adopted without parental consent from either parties. We took I won't mention the hospitals, but we took our little girl. She was at 20 months of age, and she had an accidental fall in a cot. It was an awkward fall, and she did cry. The only thing I could be guilty of here is we didn't take her to the hospital straight away. However, we took her down to Sure Start the day after, and when she came back, I was taking some charity money down to the cancer research. When I came back, she was standing by the TV watching Waverloo, our little girl, and it was my sister noticed that she was a bit lame, bit limp. She wasn't weight bearing on her left limb. And I turned around to my partner and said, well, let's give her the benefit of the doubt and see if it could be that she's got this ingate, because she was diagnosed with an ingate foot left, ingate toe. And I thought possibly that's what it may have been. But I overlooked the fall the night before, Alan, because she wasn't showing any trauma as such. I mean, she did cry with the fall, but the trauma soon faded away. However, that particular day when Nat brought Blobby back, I left it till Saturday morning, giving it the benefit of the doubt to see if she could weight bear the next step. Well, no, she couldn't. So we took her to the hospital. And I'll cut this short and sweet. She was treated. She had a Scotch cast placed on her below her toes up to above her knee, and we took her back home, thinking that she'd been treated and all was well. We got a phone call 2 days later to take her back to the hospital. Said the cast was put on wrong. She needs to have the cast taken off, which I thought was a little bit unusual, Alan. And you've heard the saying, haven't you? You get called into the lion's den. That's exactly what we fell into. Because when we took our little girl back to the hospital, the rest is history. Because we weren't allowed to take our little girl home from the hospital. And my partner had to stay the night with our child. The police came to the hospital, said, under no circumstances will you remove your child. I said, well, forever for? You never give us any explanations, Alan. I do now know. I mean, what they were alluding to, knowing to me and my partner at the time, that they were making out as a non-accidental injury. And that stuck. And from there on afterwards, our little girl was placed into foster care. We had to go to court. And it was a battle royale for the next 48 weeks through the courts. And Alan, we couldn't prove otherwise with the injury. And as a consequence, the judge used on the basis of probabilities balance. I've done jury service, so I know the procedure of the courts. And believe you me, Alan, them courts and civil courts are like kangaroo courts. You know, there's no jurors, there's nothing. And it's all on the basis of what the judge reads through the reports, through the doctor's reports, doctor's files, through Alder. And what comes back, I've never, honest to God, Alan, I've never seen anything like it in my life. Still upsets me today. And I've tried every route, every avenue, MPs, the law, to try and get our daughter back. We've got another child now. Our other child's in Ireland, in Cath. But we readily see our little fella. He's autistic. But we see we did an RT interview, filming everything, going back a while back. Our little boy will be 9 this year. So I'll give you an idea how long ago we went to Ireland. Excuse me. So we did that to escape the social services, the court system, and the way it was. That's why we went to Ireland. We run away from social services and from the system that's operated over here. That's the only reason why I did that, Allan. It was the best thing we ever did, really. At least we do get to see our little boy. However, we don't with our little girl. They've applied for photographs for our child. They will not give you the photograph, so we don't know what she looks like. We get a letterbox each year, one letterbox, and it's only 3 or 4 paragraphs, and that's about as much as we get with regards to our daughter. She'll be 13 this year. So it's like a constant grief. You know, you're living in bereavement, Alan. But we're not the only one. We've done an awful lot of research, Alan, throughout the country, length and breadth, and it's just absolutely horrendous what they're getting, what's going on, and what they're getting away with. You've heard the word, haven't you, Alan? Procuring and trafficking.
Yes.
Well, in its legality terms, that's what's been legally practiced through these courts, and they're literally getting away with it, Alan. And the thing is, I'll have to mention the monetary system on this one. The amount of money it generates is not millions, it's billions. It's an industry. Now, I've spoke to Ian Joseph. He's a linguist. He's based in Marseilles. He helps a lot of parents like us. He's a millionaire plus. And he's been very helpful with us throughout the years. He's a smashing guy, very intelligent. He's got a law degree, but he's not practicing law. He's more of a linguist. He speaks about 7 languages, you know. So he's an educated man. And we've been through all the channels of what's going on in this country. I just want to make people aware out there what is going on. Just be careful. You know, if I hadn't took our little girl to the hospital, we shouldn't say this, Alan, but I regret that to this day, because I know I could have nursed my little girl. Because what I was told in the hospital after about 2 weeks, they said, from a consultant, won't name the doctor, said she didn't need a cast on. And that's why they told us to bring our little girl back to take the cast off after about, 92 hours? I was amazed, Alan. You know, and I banged my head against the wall thinking, why did I do that? I should have gone on parental instinct, you know? So the hospital, as of course I won't mention it, I have my grievance against that hospital, yeah. I really do. I think it's corrupt. Very corrupt. And, you know, Alan, we were the only ones that's lost our children from that same hospital. So I am going to look into it further, Alan, and see what we can do, because you know what? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't object to gay adoption if it's applied in the way, and if it's applied right. The necessity of adoption from a child, from an orphan aspect point of view. You want to get an argument to me out of that, and fostering. But when they do it the way they did it to us, the way they do it through the courts, and not only us, but to many, many, many other parents that we know of, it's disgusting, Alan.
Well, if you think it is a systemic problem rather than yours went wrong, if you believe it to be a systemic problem, you might want to talk to some of the radio, possibly television documentary makers, because that's the kind of thing that they would be interested in if they thought it was a big enough story. So, there's a programme based in Salford, the BBC headquarters in Salford, called File on 4, and
yeah,
that's the kind of tale. I'm not saying that they would pick up on your story, but they're the kind of organisation or the kind of programme that looks into issues such as this. Now, you may want to drop a line to the editor of File on 4 and see whether that programme thinks that your story has sufficient purchase, not disbelieving you or anything like that, but has sufficient purchase to make it worth their while making a programme. They wouldn't make it on one case, but you say you can put 2 other cases, and you never know. They may be interested. And I offer nothing. I have no say in that.
But I'll say on a political scale, you know, there's a lot of political issues involved with this because, you know, Tony Blair, for example, I don't know if I'm supposed to mention him, but he was talking about dysfunctional families back in 2007. Now, one of his long-lasting legacies, which stands today, is the fact that children come from dysfunctional families cost the government £25,000 a year. Well, it does cost £25,000 a year if a child of that nature goes into the care system with fostering.
Well,
because
Stephen,
I know I'm going off the subject a little bit here, Alan. But what I'm trying to emphasise is that all these politicians, they're all, they're all got degrees in law. They make up the law as they go along. They can get away with it. Well, a lot. I mean,
first of
our
all,
MPs,
they
he's a lawyer.
They haven't got degree. All MPs haven't. Some MPs can't even spell their name properly. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, I didn't want to go into this area because you will sound like I'm disbelieving you or blaming you. But the purpose of the system is to protect the child. And
I was just going to mention that safeguarding child protection.
They care not a fig about the parents. The parents are irrelevant, other than whether they are beneficial to the child's future, or the opposite. And if it's the opposite, they take the child off you. Now, I'm not saying they made the right decision. I'm not saying they made the right decision. I'm just saying that is their purpose. Now, if you believe that that system is being used inappropriately, then a one-off case, yours, wouldn't prove the system was inappropriate. It would prove, in your eye, that they got it wrong this time, but it's about whether...
Well, to be honest with you now, we have got all the stats and the figures. So if Phylon 4 wants to look at the stats, well, we've got them, but the thing is, they stand out a million miles. But probably
in your eyes, but most people don't. Most people listening to this right now, he said, sticking his neck out, think, well, they've not got it wrong. You're just not happy with the outcome, and that's horrid. But that's the way a lot of people think. And what I'm suggesting to you is, you're not happy with the outcome. There will be others who are not happy with the outcome. There will be very few who have their child compulsorily taken off them and sent into the care system. But there'll be very few of those who think, well, that was the right decision. But it's about whether the process of I'll finish if I may. In order to get Phylon 4, I have no say in what they do, but I know, because I listen to it every week, I know the kind of things they're interested in. If you can show to them that the system is failing, rather than get it right and upsetting you, but failing, then they might be interested in examining that system to see where the flaws, if there are any, exist. That's all I'm saying. And they may say,
you're right, Alan. I totally agree.
We did it a year ago. I don't. So, but
I totally agree. But see, I'm going back to 2012. Now, since 2012, I wouldn't like to list how many children have gone into the care system under that system. It's phenomenally high. I couldn't guarantee you that, Alan. But the point of fact
all of them that have been compulsorily adopted have gone through that system, because that is the system by which it was done. It is done to this day. However, your argument is they got it wrong in your case. Your additional argument is they're getting it wrong often, and a documentary maker may wish to pursue that.
Alan, if I can make one point. Did you remember about the 236,000 children? We're talking about the 50s now. I don't know the number. It's an incredible amount of children that went into the system. A lot were adopted forcibly. And there was a big documentary about a couple of years ago about it. And I was amazed, and they were accepting an apology from the government, and they haven't got one as yet. Apparently in Australia, the parents have had apologies, which is still not good enough, where mums are losing their babies. It's a scary subject. And it's a humongous topic to talk about, because when you look into it further, it's frightening. And you think, where do all these children go? And
what I'm suggesting, Stephen, when you look at it, and I don't mean this in any way insulting, pejorative, or what have you. When you look at it from a tarnished point of view, for you are a victim of it. I'm suggesting that you make representation of your story to an organisation. It doesn't have to be Phylon 4, it could be any of the documentary makers, to see whether they think, oh, that didn't work out for Stephen. Let us see if it didn't work out for others, and if so, how is the system failing? That's what they would be interested in. They don't take up individual cases, but they may well, documentary makers, look at the system and they may find, well, Stephen's the odd one out. I don't know. I have no way of knowing.
I understand
They'll
that.
find out if they are. If you like, the worm you put on the hook attracts them, they will examine it further. And they may well say, no story here, throw it away. Or they may say, bloody hell, and follow it. All right? Good luck with it.
Well, you always say to yourself, well, what do you do in the best interest of the child? You know, that's what
Well,
they
that's what the
use
court
the terminology. Yes,
that's
in the
what the
best interest of the child. That came from Tony Blair, believe it or not.
No, it didn't.
He coined that phrase.
Listen, Stephen, I used to serve many, many years ago when I was at the Citizens Advice Bureau in the 1970s. I served for a short time on a committee known as the Non-Accidental Injuries to Children Committee.
Oh,
I served
honestly,
on that committee. Yeah, and that committee operated on the basis of what is best for the child. Our job is to look after the child. The parents are irrelevant in the process. They have to be dealt with, but it's about what's best for the child. And most of the time, what's best for the child is to stay with the parents, but that's not always the case. And the process by which that is implemented is a tedious one, and for those who lose their children, an extremely painful one. And for those who go through it and keep their children, even that is extremely painful. But it's the system that's there. And if you think the system has let you down, rather than you don't agree with the decision for you, then that's a matter that may be examined. But the idea that Tony Blair invented what's best for the child is what matters most. That wasn't invented by Tony Blair. It was operating whilst he was still at school.
Well, thank you for telling me that, because, you know, I'll take on one last note, Allan, and, you know, and it's been nice talking to you as well. What was I going to say? We're on the firm belief. Because, you know, I'm a great believer that if you're guilty of something, you put a zip across your mouth. Because if you've perpetrated the crime, or you've done an ABH, GBH, you've done it. You point your finger at it, then shut your mouth, because you haven't got a say in the matter. But I feel as if someone's pointed the finger at you and blamed you, you know, and you can't prove otherwise, then that's when you open your mouth. Because as far as I'm concerned, Allan, thank you, Allan, and I feel that, you know, that's why I'm so pleased to be able to talk to you, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, it's in the back of my mind, it's there, it's constant. I can't erase it. It's scarred. I know my daughter's out there somewhere. Don't know where she is. She's with strangers, as far as I'm concerned. To me, they're strangers. And that's what really gets me, you know, because I don't know what the capabilities of those people are like. Because we don't know. Because once that child goes through the court system and into that system, from fostering into adoption, we just don't know what's going to happen to that child, or any child for that matter. And as far as I'm concerned,
that is correct.
I read so many reports, Allan, so many horrible reports.
We're going back into the story. You said you were going to make one more point. You've made that point over and over.
Oh,
and
thank you.
That's a good point to make. But I don't need it. So have a good night. I'll do Anthony.
Fair enough. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, there's Allan.
Yes.
Oh, all right. I've never talked to you ever. When I was in St. Anne's, I listened to you every day. Well, every night, you know. Thinking, what a nice boy you are. I listened to you at weekends. I just want to say that person who come on then, you know, look after yourself. God bless. The other person about, you know, a cat. Get a solid dog. They'll be lonely. Right, I've got to go out, Allan.
Okay. Right, it's been good talking. Sorry?
Oh.
Hello. Right, we seem to have reached an on-pass. Anthony, thank you for your call. I'll do Carl.
Hello.
Hello, Carl.
Hi. I would like to talk about the war in Ukraine and what you think about Russia invading them. Do you think it's good what you've done or not? Or
It's hard for me to ever say that war is good.
no?
What do you think?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, because NATO and Russia, because Ukraine want to join it, but this war is not going to stop. I reckon it's going to carry on, like Afghanistan and stuff. But I reckon the war's going to, it's not going to stop. I reckon probably it's going to see who wins, and so yeah. Still there.
And do you think the Western countries should be giving armaments to Ukraine? Because if they do, of course, that will mean that Russia may be prevented from conquering them, whereas if we didn't give them arms, they'd take over Ukraine and then the war would stop. So do you think that our government and others should be arming Ukraine?
I reckon we should stay out of it, the war, because every war, what goes on, we always get involved. Like what we've done to Afghanistan, we haven't done nothing. And this Afghanistan's still the same, and Iraq's still the same, Libya. So I reckon we should not get involved and let them battle it out. I reckon.
Okay.
But I don't want no nuclear weapons going off or anything going on, with Russia, the UK or anything. But why do they got to do it now? They should have done it 20 years ago, invaded Ukraine 20 years ago, but they never. So how come now? They're doing it right now.
I don't know their reasons for invading. I really don't. They believe, Putin professes the belief that the Ukraine is part of Russia anyway. And a lot of people in Ukraine speak Russian and are descendant Russian. Whether they are or not, I don't know, but that's what he claims.
He should have invaded years ago, 20 years ago, but they haven't. So I don't know. That's why I'm a bit not sure why they invaded it now. Should have done it years ago, but they never. So I reckon probably NATO must have, because they want to join NATO anyway, Ukraine, and they didn't like it. That's why they invaded.
When you've just answered your own question, why are they doing it now? They're doing it now because it looked like Ukraine might be accepted into NATO, and if that was the case, Russia would then have a NATO country boarding Russia, and they don't want that. So if they conquer Ukraine, as it were, then Ukraine won't be a member of NATO. So that might be the reason now, rather than 20 years ago or what have you, when Ukraine didn't have a cat in hell's chance of getting in NATO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair play, but you don't know what's going on over there, to be honest. No,
all we know is the news reports that we get. That's all we have.
Yeah, because we're giving them money to them. Well, what do they do with the money? Are they buying weapons or?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, buying weapons in some cases.
Yeah, are they buying weapons from us, or are we giving the tanks free to them, or do you know?
They're not buying weapons from us. We are giving what aid they get from Britain is free, gratis and for naught. So the tanks we're sending, they'll get for nothing. The other armaments they get for nothing. The same with the United States and others.
Oh, so where's all the money going then? So the money going to Ukraine? What are they helping the public or the people public?
The cash they receive is used in a variety of ways, I suspect, including buying aid and possibly buying other things for their war effort. So they get cash and they get weaponry.
Yeah, but this war's not going to stop. I reckon it's going to keep on going for another 3-4 years. And
all wars stop eventually. I mean, you mentioned Afghanistan. The war in Afghanistan has ended. You could say that the West lost, but it's ended. There's not a war anymore.
Yep. Yeah, but the Taliban are a lot stronger now than he was 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, what you said was the wars don't stop. It has stopped. It hasn't done what the West wanted it to do, but it's now stopped. They're not at war now. The West is not fighting in Afghanistan like it was a couple of years ago. So the war has stopped. The outcome may not be to the West's satisfaction, but the war itself is over.
Yeah, but we haven't achieved nothing.
Well,
we haven't showed the West or look at this.
I'm not suggesting that we have. You said the wars don't stop, and this won't stop. And I said wars do stop. Not everybody gets the outcome that they want, but wars do end.
Yeah, in a bad way. And we don't want a bad way near European countries.
They end in the way that the people involved wish them to end. For example, in Afghanistan, America decided we've had enough of throwing weapons into Afghanistan without a soon result, so we're pulling out. Who knows, in 2 years' time they might pull out of supplying Ukraine, who knows? But at some point, the war will stop.
Yeah, well, you hope so, but people might not. So.
We're not still fighting the First World War, or indeed the Boer War. All those wars ended.
Yeah.
The war in Afghanistan ended. The war in the Falklands ended. All the wars that were going on in Central Europe ended. You may not like the outcome, but all wars end.
Yeah. Fair play. Yeah.
All right, mate. Good to talk to you, Col. We're going to talk to Raymond, we're going to talk to Sam, we're going to talk to Margaret, and of course we're going to talk to you if you wish. The telephone number is 0800 218 2255. It's just after 11:30. How do, Raymond?
Good evening, Alan. Thanks for taking my call. Listen, I've been listening to you since you used to go YMCA swimming early in the hours of the morning.
Aye, long time ago.
A long time ago, yeah, thank you. I just want to say, why is there no warnings on TV, radio, whatever, that when a person gets jaundice, they're going to be dead in 3-4 weeks, okay? Because they replace everything else in the body, but not a liver, right? My wife, 55, she died a month ago, okay? You can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm so upset why you can't say, look, if you do this. It all became because she couldn't get an appointment with a doctor. She couldn't see a doctor. She had to wait 9 weeks for a telephone call, what came from Manchester to Liverpool, and then she collapsed and smashed her head open on the bleeding fireplace and everything. Sorry for the French, right? And then it all deteriorated from there. So why is there no... As soon as, someone gets like, jaundice and everything, they're going downhill fast. What can we do about that? You know what I mean? And it's just a warning. When your partner starts sleeping all through the afternoon, okay, and you check the blood pressure and everything, it's not 90-60. No, it's like 61-28. Something's definitely wrong there, okay? Even the paramedics said, yes, it's good you called us because her body is just starting to shut down. End up. It's got to be a warning that your liver, you can't replace it. And that's it. She's gone. She's gone. Done. What do you say to Alan? Have you heard this before?
Yes. I've heard that jaundice is a symptom of a variety of conditions, none of which are fun to have.
Well, the surgeon said to us, we can't do anything. We're going to make her comfy, i.e. putting morphine into her and everything. She's left 9 grandchildren. Done. Okay? I'm still grieving and everything like that, but in a day, she's in a better place than she was, okay? It's all because her work, she was, you know what I mean? She was running up and down this place where she works. I can't mention the name or anything like that, but she was fit as a fiddle. And then as soon as she started getting a bad cough, a throat and coughing up and everything, she had to wait, like I say, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks for a doctor's call. Can't just go and see a doctor. And they all deteriorated. It all went down there. So, honestly, I just need to say that as soon as you see your partner or whatever is tired in the afternoon and everything like that, it's a sure sign that something's wrong. Don't you agree?
Well, somebody being tired could be a sign of something wrong. It might just be that they've done too much that week and they're tired. But certainly jaundice is a condition worthy of further examination. And I say to everybody, if you can't get a GP, if you can't get to see your GP or any other doctor, ring 911 and talk to them. And if you're not happy with what they say, either because you don't like what they've said or you don't like the advice they've given or what have you, go to A&E. That's for everybody else. You see, if you are worried and you can't get a medical person to see you, go to A&E.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I was working from first thing in the morning till dark at night, and it's only by chance that I happened to come home in the afternoon with the bright sunshine. And as soon as you open the front door, you can tell straight away her skin's wrong, you know what I mean? And everything like that, and her eyes and everything. I thought, this is not right, and everything, yeah? All right. Because she was laid off work and everything. They said, you can't come in and everything like that. We can't allow you to lift up tools and stuff like that. So we're going to put you on sick leave for 4 or 5 weeks, okay? Yeah, she can have, start drinking this, that, and everything, yeah? But I didn't see anything change when I came home and everything. She still had the tea going on and everything like that, you know what I mean? So...
Well, indeed, and it is, from your perspective, absolutely dreadful that your GP, if he was told, or she was told, the symptoms and decided, a 6-week appointment's fine for that, then frankly, that was quite possibly an error. I don't know. But I say again, this is of no use to you, Raymond, but if you are dissatisfied with what you...
I know.
What a GP says, or if you can't...
We had separate GPs and everything, obviously. I mean, I always said, please come to my GP because you've more chance of seeing someone. Anyway, we managed to... I actually went into her GP's, right? Changing my eye, saying, look, my wife is not right. She's not right and everything. Please get, the receptionist, get the doctor to tell her, please, whatever, yeah? So the next day, she came in, I took her in, and I was pointing at GP, look at her face, it's not right, and everything, right?
Hang on. Hang on. Let me just stop you a second. Earlier you said you couldn't get your GP. Now you're telling me the GP visited.
No. Didn't visit. No, didn't visit. I had to actually go into her GPs because we had separate GPs at different surgeries. Yeah, and I had to. But
let me just get this right. Let me just get this right. Did a GP ever see your wife? Yes or no?
When I took her in.
Yes or no? It's just yes or no.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Right.
And I pointed to this GP, again, who was a new GP in her surgery. Have you seen her face, right? And then straight away she said, yeah, get her in a car, get up to A&E, okay? And it took me from
Same
there.
advice as me. That's why it's something, isn't it? Ray, I mean, it's horrible, the experience you've had, and, there's no point dwelling on it, but for others, if you have symptoms that you can't get to see a doctor or you're not satisfied with what the doctor has said, ring 911. If 911 doesn't satisfy, go to A&E. If they say there's nothing wrong for you, bugger off home, no one's hurt. But if you don't go and your condition, your symptoms get to a stage of being irretrievable, then you'll regret it. So that's what
Alan, one final thing. Alan, one final thing. Okay?
Yeah, you said that's the second time you said it.
We went to same side. We went to same side hospital. Okay, yeah, and it looks like they've either got a matron who's at the door. Yes, you here. You says you there. Whatever. As soon as I wheeled my wife through that door, she said, jaundice, straight through. Bang.
Like I said, if you're not satisfied with the response you get from the various places I referred to, take the patient, or if you are the patient, go to A&E. Raymond, good to hear from you, and I'm sorry for your loss. How do Sam? How do Sam? Obviously gone to pick up his musket. How do Margaret? How do
hello, Allan. Hi, hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Another sob story. I've had a recurring health problem for over 12 months. I've seen several people, and it didn't seem that bad to me, so I just went along. I've had courses of antibiotics, etc. Anyway, eventually I went back round in a circle, back to the GP last Monday, and she took a look and she said, right, you need an urgent referral. She said, this is suspected cancer, and if you don't hear from the department by Wednesday, I think that was the 18th, she said, you call them if they don't call you. Okay, so Wednesday came along, the 18th, and I hadn't heard from anybody. As I say, it's an urgent referral assessment. Oh, it's a long thing, but it's suspected cancer, and it's urgent. So I hadn't heard from anybody by the Wednesday, and I did as advised. I called the number on the letter I was given. I got through, and I was told it was the wrong number. So I thought, oh, that's strange. I left it a while. I thought perhaps he's a part-timer or whatever. There's maybe a mistake. I called back later in the day. I was told the number on the letter I was given by the GP was the wrong number, but I was given 3 further numbers to try. 3 in all. I called them, all of those numbers, twice. A total, obviously, of I called 6 times on those numbers, and I got absolutely no reply. That was on the 18th. I just kept calling people that day. But anyway, on the 19th, I started up again trying to contact people because the GP was insistent that this was urgent. I needed to be seen. In all, come the 19th, I'd made 11 calls all in all. I'd even been given the number of a manager, and I just got no answer, absolutely no answer. I was also told that I already had an appointment, although there was no evidence of that. But that was by a receptionist. I'm just checking through the notes. They're a bit scribbly. I'm sorry if I'm taking a while here. Gosh. Anyway, you got the idea. I won't rattle on. So I got back to the GP, and I asked for I didn't know who to ask for, to be honest. So I just asked for the office manager. She made 2 calls on the 19th. That was a Thursday. And she didn't get an answer. So it's all up in the air. On the 20th, I called again, and I got an answer machine at this particular, I think it's called an MFU department, I'm not sure. But anyway, it was an answer machine, and the answer machine simply said they couldn't take my call. Now, this is an urgent referral concerning suspected cancer. And it's through symptoms I've had for over 12 months, in which time I've seen several people. So I just think the point I'll make is, I think, if something's that broken, maybe it should be chucked in the bin and we should start again, because it's certainly broken. To be told that the number I was initially given by 2 separate people And on a printed letter from the GP, this number, the initial response was, two separate calls told me, you've got the wrong number. So it's shot, isn't it? So I still haven't got my referral. But c'est la vie, I suppose. So that's that. I realise there's very little you can do. I just thought you might be interested. Now I need advice. I've got a dozen eggs in the fridge and they're way past the use-by date. Now, do I use the old method of testing them, which I'll call the sniff test? Will they hurt me if I just go ahead and eat them? You know, if they smell all right. I mean, there's enough bad eggs in number 10. I don't want them in my fridge. So... do you know, what do you think? Should I just use the sniff test or...
Well, that's what I would do, but, you know, my constitution is pretty good.
So's mine, normally.
So. Well, I have no control of that. I'm just answering your questions.
No, I don't expect you to, love. Why would I expect you to have control over my constitution? Now, behave yourself. But I just thought...
Anyway, in answer to your question, I would break one, smell it. If it smells all right, I'd have it.
Eat it, yeah. It's not going to hurt me. I mean, you just never know.
That's just what I would do.
Yeah, well, I don't care about your ideas. I don't think it'll hurt me. That's my idea. Anyway, quick joke.
Oh, that's fine. Go on.
I know it is. I don't need that advice. Quick joke. There's an old bloke, he's an old magician. And you're not going to find this funny because you're that type of person, but he's at the children's party. He's an old magician. He's just about fed up. You might recognise the attitude, but and one of the kids shouts out, "Hey, mister, can you pull a rabbit out your hat?" He said, "No, love," he said, "but I can pull a hair out my ass." Good night, Alan.
Good night. I'll do Russ.
Oh, hi, Alan. Nice to speak to you. I'd like to talk about something pleasant. I don't mean to spoil the tone of the conversations, but you mentioned Dol Gley. You live near Dol Gley, or in that vicinity, or you have something to do with... Or you have something to do with Dol...
I don't think I've ever used that. I don't think I've ever used that word in my life.
Dol Gley? Haven't you heard of Dol Gley? No. Oh, well, I was listening to you.
You said I said that name, and I can't think of an occasion ever when I've said that name.
Haven't you? Oh, well, I beg your pardon. I must have got it wrong, but I thought that was your area. That was your dwelling down there. Did I hear it wrong? No, well, basically, my memory...
I have never said that word in my life.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know where I got that from, Alan. And I'm pretty astute. You know, I'm not... You know what I mean? I'm all there. I haven't got dementia. I heard you... Somebody was talking about planes or something, and Dol Gley was mentioned in Wales, and definitely heard you some weeks back.
Okay, well, fine.
Yeah. So can I get on with what I want to talk about, or we're going to run out of time?
You would.
Yeah. No, yeah, well. I thought it was your neck of the woods, you know, and why I'm ringing is it's such a lovely area. We used to watch a programme, The Brigands Inn, a famous musician. His name's gone now. He used to fish there, but the roads down there are becoming horrendous. There's a lake called Allan, and the traffic's so bad. This used to, I mean, I'm going back 20 years now. It was like Scotland down there. The roads were empty, and the traffic's going into the lake because the accidents are so bad. Allan, it's you're talking about. It's about 10 miles inland from Bournemouth. It's a very quiet part of the world. If you say you're not aware of that, and I've got my wires crossed, well, you won't really know what I'm talking about. But the roads are absolutely horrendous. We used to go there years ago. Well, some years back. My dad's passed away now. And we stayed in a place called Towan. Have you heard of that? Towan in Wales.
I've heard of it, yes.
Well, there's a town here. There's a town up north, and there's a town down south. It's called Tuin down south. We used to stay there by the Talon Railway. Have you heard of that? The Talon Railway. No, most famous preserved railway. You haven't heard of that, no?
No.
Well, we used to stay down there, and the memories were marvellous, you know, absolutely marvellous. Have you heard of Llandudno?
Yes.
Have you heard of, oh, you know Llandudno, do you?
I've heard of it.
You know Llandudno? You know it's in Wales. You're acting the ghost, Allan. Have you acting the goat with me? You're acting the ghost. I thought you were a worldly fella. I think you're playing with me. I thought you were a worldly fella, and you had some knowledge. You don't know the Talon Railway. You've never heard of Dol Gley. It's a famous little town in the middle of Wales.
Right. That it? I mean, I can't help not knowing something that you know.
You're not a very nice person, are you? You get. I think you have mood swings, because 1 minute you're all nice, and the next minute you're throwing obstacles. You're not a nice person to people. You're doing it to me. Last week you were nice to me. And this week, you're just throwing obstacles in front of me, Allan. I won't bother speaking to you again. That's all right, Allan.
That's a bonus.
I don't think you're a very nice person.
Good night. Good night. I don't give a stuff whether you think I'm nice or not. I don't think I'm not here to be nice. But if not being nice is not knowing the villages of Wales in their entirety, then I plead guilty. I'm not nice. And when you said there were no Llandudno, I said yes, and that pissed you off as well, which is very, very strange. Then again, I don't care. I was going to say I can't win, but I can, of course, because I'm still here and you're gone. And you're a prat and I'm not. 0800 218 2255. If you want to join us, you can. How do, Trevor?
It's still good evening, I think. So good evening, Allan.
Yes, fine by me.
And I think you do need to brush up on your Welsh geography, you know. But,
I certainly do, don't I? And moved to Dol Gley so that he's not totally and utterly peed off.
Well, absolutely. Now, I'm very excited, obviously, about the coronation announcements, Allan. The processions, the balcony appearance, the concert at Windsor, all the street parties everyone's going to have. But it did occur to me that there might be an unfortunate side effect for listeners to the Beswick show, because the coronation is on a Saturday at the beginning of May, and the other celebrations, or some of them, are on the Sunday. And it just occurred to me that the powers that be, shall I say, might be a little wary of having your particular style of phone-in on Coronation Day, and I wondered if you had had any news of that at all.
I have no news, but if they want me to stay at home because they don't trust me, that's fine, as long as they send the money.
Absolutely. Have you ever had a drunk magpie in your garden, Allan?
Not to my knowledge, but I've not conversed with many of them. They tend to fly away when I go near them. But I've never had I'm not aware of ever encountering a drunken magpie, unless you're a Blackpool supporter.
I think, aren't they Newcastle?
Seen one or two of them.
Anyway.
As well, yeah, seen one or two of them tipsy.
I'm reading a story about that magpies get drunk from eating fermented apples. And apparently. And a lady found one staggering around in her garden in Oxfordshire, and kind of looked after it and so forth, and then it kind of got over its drunken state and eventually flew off. and they asked the RSPCA, and the RSPCA said magpies do this a lot. So they eat fermented apples. But I like the headline. Magpie-eyed.
Oh, very good. Yeah, we like that.
Yeah.
We like that. Then again, if you do get a drunken magpie, do as you wish with it, that's legal, but don't take it into your home, because it might be a ploy so they can nick all your jewellery. Because they're famous. They're famous for nicking shiny things. They come on, I've got a great son. I'm just going to wonder about this garden, and that'll get you. Come out, and he'll say, "Come on, you poor little drunken thing," and I go, and they go in. Give his hand with this drawer, will you? Off we go. So you don't know. It could be a ploy. Don't risk it.
Well, yes, no, that's a very important warning, a public service announcement, you might say, Alan. Really.
It's what the BBC is for.
Indeed. The other sort of animal-related, well, that was a bird, but an animal-related story is about
they're animals.
Yeah.
Birds are animals, and members of the animal kingdom.
Well, that's true. There's a zoo in Sussex that has had the birth of a cotton-top tamarin monkey, which is an endangered species, apparently, sadly. There are fewer than 6,000 of them left in the wild in Colombia, so I gather. But the bit about the story that made me chuckle, and I like the stories that make me chuckle, was that they decided to call it Nigel. And the reason, apparently, they decided to call it Nigel is because the name Nigel is critically endangered, so described in the UK, because according to the people who keep records of these things, no newborn child was named Nigel, none, in between 2020 and 2021.
Really?
Nigel, it would seem, as a name, is on its way out, so they thought they'd do their bit and not only help save monkeys, but also help save the name Nigel. So there we are. That tickled me a little, but I'm easily amused.
Yes.
Maybe
you can't beat a little tickle every now and then.
Indeed. Indeed.
Even if you get it with a drunken magpie.
The other thing I was going to mention was you talked about the plastic bottle deposit scheme last night. It's really, really interesting, I think, from a number of perspectives. Apparently this was originally proposed by Michael Gove in 2018. And with the usual speed of these things, it's going to come into operation in October 2025, so it's 2.5 years away. It's not just plastic bottles, but it's also drinks cans. And apparently the idea is that you'll pay an extra 20p or thereabouts on the plastic bottle or your drinks can, and that 20p will be refunded when the bottle or can is returned. And it just occurred to me that potentially this could be a bit of a minefield for retailers. I mean, do you have to return it to the shop that you bought it from? And if so, how would you prove that anyway? Or is a sort of small
barcode? Be on the barcode. Yeah,
I suppose. Although, I mean, if it's a brand name, you know, and sort of sold everywhere, the barcode. Anyway, it just occurred to me that a little local shop might suddenly be inundated with somebody coming in with a sack of cans or plastic bottles or whatever, and have to count them and dole out 20p's and stuff. And I just wondered how practical it was, really. Well,
they used to do it with the pop bottles, didn't they?
Oh, I do remember that. I am old enough.
I know kids. I wasn't one of them, I hasten to add, but I know kids used to climb over the wall and get the pop bottles out the shed at the back, take them round the front and hand them in and get tuppence. It was only tuppence in those days, which is why they eventually, when you took your bottle in, they got the label and you went like that and scratched the label. So if you went back and said, and they said, sod off, you've just been over the wall. No, I haven't. I'll give it here. I'm calling the cops. and you ran away. Apparently, more than
not that you knew were involved yourself, obviously, as you say.
Not at all. No, I was just I wasn't even a witness. Otherwise, I would have had to report it. I've just heard these claims.
I'm amused by the idea that they got wise to it and found a way of dealing with it. So
well, you do when you run out of tuppences.
Well, quite. The very final thing I was going to say was I've never really got into Strictly, but on the wonderful BBC 4, I'm currently watching the 1979 series of Come Dancing with Terry Wogan. They're repeating a complete series.
All right.
Come Dancing with Terry Wogan.
Yeah.
And that's quite entertaining.
It was before that, you know. They had they had
loads.
Yeah, I know, but the newsreader with the legs.
They had Angela Rippon, they had Peter West way back in the day.
Peter West. Yeah, they've all had a go at it. Mind you, it was tedious, wasn't it?
Oh, well, I must admit I find it quite amusing because of the kind of stuff like, and this is so-and-so, age 16, who is a trainee telephonist and collects tropical fish, that kind of stuff. It's just
How do you collect tropical fish?
Well, I'm probably slightly misquoting. Has a hobby of tropical or whatever, but that kind of stuff, because I've got a bizarre sense of what entertains me. Quite entertains me, and as I say, they're showing a complete series of it. And today, the Northwest beat Wales by 3 points. And Terry Wogan said at one point, "I'm not sure the judges will get out of the top-ranked Swansea alive." Anyway,
yeah, they're very keen in the southern regions.
Indeed. Thanks for the conversation, as always, Alan.
It's all right. I've got a little treat for you. You might not recognise it, but it's a song by a band called XTC, and it's called Making Plans for in the early 70s. And please don't ask me why I remember that, because I'm ashamed at doing so. 0800 218 2255, just after 10 past midnight. We're here till 1. How do Simon?
Yeah, hello, Alan. I want to talk about the church's blessing, pastoral prayers, communion. I think there's too much, they're doing too much caring and not enough common sense. On the other end, just before that, the band
Can I just stop you a second, Simon? Okay. Can I just stop you a second? You said the church doing blessing. Is it any particular kind of blessing, or blessing on certain individuals, or is it just blessing in general, which is kind of their job?
Well, I haven't got hold of that one. I know they're doing pastoral prayers and communion. That's what I've heard.
That's what churches do.
Churches, the Bible, supposed to do. It's supposed to be the building of the Bible with people doing what the Bible, and in Revelations.
So when I said to you, is it any particular? Simon, let me just try and establish. All you've said so far, you may have missed a bit out, and I'm trying to help you to put that bit in. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but you said something to the effect of the church giving blessings and prayers. Now, is there any particular subject about those blessings?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, it's about... sorry about that, Alan. Yeah.
It's all right, don't worry.
You said somebody else was disorganised. I'm a bit disorganised. Gay marriages, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And...
now, what is wrong with the church giving blessings to people, even if they don't like what they're doing? Didn't Jesus say... Didn't Jesus bless sinners and ask them not to be sinners?
When the same in the New Testament, you've got the Apocalypse, Revelations, and that is a very rough thing. They've got these two people called the caretakers. I don't know if they are the caretakers, I can't remember, but when they die, people have parties in relief for 3 days and they come back to life. We're in these times now.
Well, okay, without coming back to life, because that's a universal trick, as far as I'm aware, claimed by Christians for Jesus. What is wrong, in your view, with blessing gay marriage? Not permitting gay marriage, even supporting it.
My view, it's It's in the Bible. The church, when you go to church, you go from what's in the Bible, and they should be teaching what's in the Bible,
Indeed.
not what's in.
Okay. Well,
how much we love each other and how much we care.
Should the church ever bless a sinner?
Yeah. Yeah, of course I do. I believe. I'm not on about. I'm not on about hating people. I'm on about loving everybody.
Simon, I didn't say you hated them, but you seem to be suggesting that they should bless sinners, but not some sinners.
No. Yes, because it's a church and they're supposed to be going by the book. It's a book of rules for.
Well, indeed, but the church has rules, but is not one of those rules? Is not one of those rules to try to be kind to all?
Yeah, that's one of the rules.
Did not Jesus say?
And another rule is it's in Revelation.
Did not Jesus say that heaven will cheer when a sinner repents? Did he say that?
Yeah, and they've got conversion therapy, and when a gay person,
they
stop doing it, don't become gay again.
Is it the nature of Christianity is it the nature of a Christianity that you should bless a sinner and hope that blessing sends them on their way to start living a life without sin? Isn't that the whole purpose of the church?
I'm not sure it's the whole purpose of the church just to make a sweeping statement. No, it's the whole purpose. Is it one of the purposes, or should they just look after their members? Well, I think it's one of being kind and generous is definitely.
But is it not? But being kind and generous to sinners, is that not part of the role of the church?
Yeah, that's part, but that's not the context, though, is it? Part of it.
It's saying we're going to bless people. We're going to bless people who choose to have a gay marriage, a gay union. They're saying we're going to bless them. Is that wrong?
For church, yeah, it's not wrong for anybody else, but for church it is, because it doesn't say that in the Bible.
How is it? Please, the Bible doesn't say.
I'll tell you where it says it. It says it in Revelation.
The Bible. No, that says it's a sin. What I'm saying to you is the Bible doesn't at any point say we should only bless those who are without sin. I think Jesus said. I don't know why I keep quoting Jesus. Didn't he say, "Let those who without sin cast the first stone"? You're chucking it.
Yes,
are you without sin? Are you without sin? Are you without sin? I don't give a stuff who said it. Are you without sin? It's in that novel you keep quoting. You're not without sin. So should you not sort yourself out before you start chucking the stones round? Good night. How do Patrick? How do Patrick? How do Sam?
Hi, Alan. You know that last caller that was... Not last caller, the few other callers, but was banging on about drinking being dangerous, and then he said, and then after a while, he said even gas or salt or whatever is dangerous, and then he said he's seen loads of gas capsules on the street, but I don't think you catch what he said. Them gas capsules, people put them into balloons. I've done it when I was at university and gas capsules, and it freezes your brain basically for like a minute or two. And that's what he was talking about.
Well, that's what he's entitled to talk about. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, but I think anything dangerous. The salt, loads of salt can do you wrong. Loads of sugar, a lot of everything. Drinking is. It's like anything else. A lot of it.
Well, thank you for the list of things that are harmful. I wasn't aware of those things being harmful, so you possibly saved my life, and I am grateful for that.
There's other things as well, like sugar, salt.
You listed them before. I just thanked you for the list. Now you're starting it again. We've got the list of things that are harmful, and we're very grateful to you. You've saved a lot of lives tonight, and that's an honourable thing for any, including mine. That's an honourable thing to do. Now that we've done that, do you want to move on to what you rang about?
Yeah, it was good to see United at Arsenal. We did okay, but I think we have improved as a team, but there's still room for improvement. But it was a good game. It was nice to see it. Have you seen their progress? Do you think United has progress under the new manager tonight?
No.
No, I don't think you follow. Have you noticed? Do you follow football at all? I don't think you do.
I do not.
Also, the no was for the no in general, like for all of it.
I don't follow football.
Yeah. Well, there was a away game today in London.
I'm what? Sorry,
there was a game, a Premier League game in London, Manchester versus Arsenal, and it was a fairly important game in the context of the year, and it was the result. They scored the winner in the 90th minute, which it happens in football, and yeah. But I can see a clear progress through the new manager, which is promising. It's his first season. Pretty good. Looking good for Manchester United. I don't know what to talk about. I mean, that's the only thing I called about saying, well, too much of anything is dangerous, really. So this stupid thing is dangerous.
Oh, we're back on the diet. Okay, well, thank you for that. How do Patrick?
Yep, I'm good, thank you.
What would you like to talk about, Patrick?
So I'd like to talk about the recent strikes that's hitting the country recently. I'd just like to express my view on them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was wondering then, what do the workers see the reason to make a strike? But they keep doing it again and again, and obviously it doesn't seem to work, no?
Well, it depends on whether you think it works or not. Already, in the railway strike, the government has allowed the railway companies to increase their offer to some of the railway workers, so they might say that's worked. Whether that will happen in respect of the health workers, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it is a right of a worker to say, I'm not going to do that anymore unless you change your point of view. Otherwise, the employers would be all powerful and would treat their employees appallingly.
Yeah, but you don't think it's a bit selfish of the workers to do such a thing? You know, why should the whole country stop just because they want a bit more money? Yeah.
Well, the first thing is that the worker has no obligation to the customer. The worker is merely carrying out and fulfilling the obligation that the employer has to the customer. The worker is just there for money. The employer is just there for his role. Now, if the worker thinks the money I'm getting for doing this, honouring the employer's liability to the customer, if it's not enough and I want more, and they ask for more and the employer says no, then the only weapon they have eventually is to say, well, I'm not doing the work then.
No, but it's just highly inconsiderate. You know, why should I have to suffer? You know, why can't I carry on my day-to-day life? You know, it's not like they're doing that much hard work.
But the employer is the one that has the obligation to you. So don't talk about the worker not doing their job. The employer's not doing its job. Because its job is to provide you with a train service. Its job is to provide you with a health service. Its job is to provide you with a postal service. It's not the worker's job to do that. They just take money in order to fulfil the employer's obligation. And if they don't like the money, they say, fine, I'm not doing it. And if you want me to do it, if you want to not have Patrick and millions of others dissatisfied, then pay us a decent wage and we'll do it. And if you don't, fine, we'll sit here and you can explain why it's knackered.
Okay, but okay, fine, I'll agree with that. But why do the employees feel the need to come to such action?
Well, It depends which group of employees. The health workers are saying, in their various different lots, are saying that our wages, the buying power of our wages is now less than it was 5 years ago. And they're saying we don't really want to get poorer over time. We want to stay level or get richer.
Okay, but to what point? If you see the real workers, they're doing strikes every single month for the past year or so. To what point should we allow them to do this? To what point? Do we have to give in to them?
Well, you're not giving in. It's the employer they're striking against. They've got no relationship with you at all. They either turn in for the rate of pay and satisfy the employer's obligation to you, or they don't. Now, if the employer says, I'm unable here to fulfil my obligations to my customers, I really must pay more money, then fine, pay more money, and then they'll go back to work. So the strike isn't just the workers getting umpy. The strike is because the employers and the workers can't agree with each other. And the only weapon the employee has is to not go to work, not have another.
Okay, fine, but so what about the so it's a problem on the employers, you're saying. So if it was so important to them, then why don't they agree to the new terms and conditions?
Well, that's up to them, mate. They would explain that. They'd say we can't afford it or whatever. But that is for them to explain.
So with the NHS strikes, then then that's on the government's problem, isn't it? The government's duty to ensure
that's
that.
the government. If you think the NHS strikes are wrong, then the paymaster, the person who's paying the money out, is the government. So if you think those employees should either work for the rate of pay that they think is not enough, then tell them, say you're just greedy, get lost, or tell the employer to pay more money. That's how it goes. Every employer I've ever met thinks his staff cost too much.
So, but why are the NHS making strikes? It seems they haven't managed. Obviously I'm very grateful to the NHS, but it doesn't seem they managed to come back fully from the COVID crisis. So,
well, the staff within the NHS, as I said just a few moments ago, are striking because they believe that the wage they're getting now buys less in the shops than the wage they were getting 5 years ago bought in the shops then. They've been offered whatever it is, 4% or something, and inflation this year is running at in excess of 10%. So if inflation is 10% and you get a wage rise of 4%, you're actually losing 6%. And they're saying, we don't want to do that. We don't want to get paid less for doing the work. We want the same, or with a bit of luck, a little bit more.
So what about the GPs then? Why aren't the GPs opening up?
Well, the GPs aren't on strike, and they're comparatively well paid, but there are considerably fewer of them because many GPs, and I talk to quite a lot of them, many GPs think that the work they're being asked to do is too much and they can't be bothered. And one of the problems with the health service is that their pension is pretty good. So you reach a stage later in life when you can actually have as much money to spend from your pension as you get paid. So you think, sod it, why would I go to work?
Okay, and then what about the airline strike? What's the cause of
that?
The
who strike?
The airlines.
Well, it's the same. All the strikes are about the same thing. I mean, you will hear unions in the health service and the ambulance drivers and all that talking a pile of bull crap. they'll say to you, yeah, one of the reasons we're striking is to make it better for the patients. That's a lie. It's a stupid bluff. If they said to the nurses, we're going to pay you £50 an hour from tomorrow, they'd be back at work, whatever the bloody health service was doing in providing stuff for patients. The same with the ambulance service, the same with a lot of them. It's all cobblers. They're striking because they want to be better off than they are. The service, that's just a bluff. That's just trying to get you to be sympathetic to them.
So you're talking that the inflation's come up, right? So why does it come? Why in the time of inflation does the government feel the need to add a charge to people shopping by adding a charge to plastic bags?
Well, one of the reasons they want to charge, I think it's plastic bottles rather than plastic bags. They added the plastic bag charge some time ago. One of the reasons they did that was they want people to use fewer plastic bags, none ideally, because of the danger they are to the environment. A, they're made out of oil, and B, they end up all over the world killing creatures, including us. So that's a different kettle of fish. That's the government saying we want to make the place a better place, and it'll be a better place without plastic bags all over the place.
Okay, fine. But, okay, fine. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. I'm back at 10 o'clock on Saturday night if you come up with a bigger list. I'll do Gillian.
Hi, Allan. I was a nurse for 23 years. I'm an RGN, RMN X, and I would never have gone on strike. And I just think it's really sad, the state of things in the NHS.
When you say you would never have gone on strike?
No, because we were looked after. We didn't have to pay for our training. We got cheap accommodation. We got subsidised meals. We were looked after in different ways apart from the actual
I know.
pay
So if when you were nursing, if your employer had suddenly said, well, we're getting away with it, we're doing away with the cheap accommodation, and you're going to have to pay for all your meals from now on. I know.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to pay for all your meals from now on, and we're not going to give you a pay rise. You'd have said, oh, well, that's all right, then I'm off to work.
Yeah, I would have gone and been a plasterer.
Oh, so you would have left? Exactly.
Probably. No, but I was
so-
looked after. I didn't feel it at the time because I was young, but I was in a warm, centrally heated room with running hot water and everything laid on in that regard, which was luxury for myself. So, do you know what I mean? Like, they've got to pay the money back to train, haven't they?
I know they have to pay money to train.
It's not right.
They get
It's not right.
well. You say it's not right, and yet you say, and I quote, "I would never strike as a nurse." Well,
no, I didn't
it's not right.
feel like it was right. I crossed a couple of picket lines as well, Allan, and had my tyres threatened to be slashed. So I have passed the picket line.
So if you were nursing now,
right,
as their wages in terms of spending power are diminishing and have been for the past 5 years, and if the workload on you was double what it had previously been, because people are leaving because they don't like the conditions, and others are retiring, and recruitment, there are 100,000 people short in the NHS. And all that work has to be done by the people who are there. So if that was the circumstance for you, where you couldn't have the kind of life that you really ought to have when you're working that hard, your work rate has increased massively, would you have just said, oh, well, that's how it is, it's lovely?
No, I probably wouldn't, to be fair. And it's also like,
so what would you
morals change, don't they? If you've got no money, you'll soon start stealing off shops and things, won't you? Your morals change according to how much money you've got, don't they?
Indeed. Well, I don't know whether it's about how much money. There are some billionaires who I wouldn't let anywhere near a shop. They'd rob it blind. Half the billionaires you hear about, they're just a bunch of crooks. So, let's not say the money, but the moral compass is affected by your ability to live.
If you're desperate, you'd kill, wouldn't you, at the end of the day?
If you're desperate, you might, yes.
You might, mightn't you? You change, don't you?
There again, Gillian, if you're sufficiently desperate and you're a nurse, you might go on strike.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying entirely. I do think it's a shame that they brought fees in for nurses, so I really do. It didn't seem right. It doesn't seem right on any level. But I wanted to give an accolade to Trevor because I think he's really clever. You might like that.
Trevor? Good Lord, he'll like it, but it's not true.
Yeah.
I know, it's just the idea that you said he was clever. He's erudite, yeah.
Come on now.
I know what the word means, yeah. It is a lovely word. It's a very good glue as well.
Glue?
Oh no, that's Haroldite.
Harold. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, Gillian, do have a good night. 0800 218 2255. It's just after 25 to 1. We knock off at 1 o'clock. We're not back until 10 o'clock on Saturday. So if you want to join us tonight, or even this morning, because we've gone past the midnight hour. Oh, I sound like Wilson Pickett. Anyway, if you mustn't say Pickett, we'll be on about bloody strikes again. Anyway, if you want to join us, we're here till 1. The number's 0800 218 2255. How do, Jacqueline?
What a dar, Alan. Couple of things first. It's Dol Gley, not Dol Gley, Dol Gley. And there's a Towin in North Wales, sort of Trilway. And there's one in Barmouth Way called Towin.
All right.
Tywyn, that's Towin. And Towin in North Wales is Towyn.
Yeah, that bloke earlier thought I was messing about with him because that bloke earlier thought I was messing about with him because I didn't know the name of every minor village in Wales.
I know. There you go. And also the railway line, it goes along it's Taliesin. It's a little popping billy, you know,
oh, right.
You might have seen that, but not realise it was Taliesin, because he was saying it in a different way as well. Anyway, back to... I was in Germany the first time about 8 years ago, and I bought 2 bottles of water, and I think it was 38 cents. So I got my 38 cents, and I gave her the money at the till. No. Well, of course, she couldn't speak English, and I couldn't speak German. So I just put a load of money in my hand and offered it to her, and she took out 88 cents. And I couldn't understand. So later on, I spoke to a German lady, and she said, oh, well, the other 50 cents is for the deposit on the bottles. You know, the plastic bottles. Yeah. It was a deposit on the plastic bottles. And that's going back, must be 8 years ago at least. Yeah, and that's what they do.
A bit before of us, don't they? Yeah, no. It must work for them. Did you have to take it back to the shop you bought it from?
I don't know, because I wasn't staying there. But possibly...
So what did you do with the bottle?
Well, I brought it home, and I left my 50 cents in Germany. But you see, I'm very hot on recycling. My black bin, my general waste, it doesn't go out very often because I don't put a load of stuff in there. But my recycling goes out every day. And for me to think that I've got... Pardon? Not every day, sorry, every week. All right. It's a bit late. And I put that out, and it's all sorted, and they're very good at the collection every week. But I think that if I've got to start paying deposits, mind you, I don't buy many bottle stuff anyway, but if I had to start doing that, and I'm also recycling, it's going to cost me more money than I really want to pay. You know, what is the difference?
Well, I may be a tightwad, but I've got to tell you, everything I ever buy, it costs more money than I want to pay. Every time, whatever I'm buying, I think, God, this is more money than I want to pay.
Yeah, but then to have to pay extra for the deposit or a can or a bottle or something, when it goes out into my Pardon?
Well, don't put it in your recycling. Take it back to the shop and get your money back.
Oh, God. Well, I don't know where the shops are going to put all this stuff, do you?
I've no idea, but, you know, they'll find somewhere if they're worth twopence a piece.
I mean, a big shop selling counters and, you know, masses and masses of stuff. They're going to have to find some space. And also, I was walking along through the park one day, and as I got to the end of the park, I crossed the road and get into another park. And this kid, finished his tin can and kicking the tin can all the way to the road, I left it. And I said to the man, his father, I gathered it was his father, I said, you know, there's a bin on the other side of the road. And he said, why don't you mind your own effing business? Because we are known as the dirty man of Europe, aren't we?
Well, I'm not, but you must speak for yourself.
No, I'm not a dirty man of Europe, but I mean, it's the people. They just throw anything and everything. You know, chip papers and burger thingies and everything else, and they don't care. They just don't care. They just leave their garbage all over the place. And yet, when you buy it, it's heavier than when you finished it. It's lighter. So why not you carry it until you get to the nearest bin to put it in? There was a little girl going along the prom one day in Belgium, and she must have only been about 3, 4, 5 years of age. And her father gave her a little sweetie, and she unwrapped the sweetie, put the thing in her mouth, and she walked all the way across the other side of the promenade to put her sweet wrapper in the bin. I mean, how many people... Oh, sorry, it's only a little bit of paper. Oh, just throw it here, just sling it here. I think people need to be aware of how dirty they are making this place. And you get the same thing. Well, it keeps somebody else in a job. What a stupid thing to say.
It's true, though, isn't it?
Well, it's a bit silly, isn't it?
Well, the truth often is. It often is. The truth.
Yeah, but unless you've got somebody walking around after you picking your stuff up, then it's not giving anybody an extra job. It's just making the place even more dirty.
Well, the person who walks around after you a little later, picking it up, that's a job. We have litter pickers. We have those machines with the big brushes that drive along the curb. We got all them. They're picking up rubbish and leaves and other crap. It is giving someone a job. I'm not saying that makes it excusable, but to say it's not giving them a job is wrong. It is.
Yeah, but you don't have people picking up after everybody and every place you go and every...
No, they quite a lot. I remember having, it was many years ago, having the leader of Manchester City Council on my programme in Manchester, a guy called Graham Stringer, Councillor Graham Stringer. He was a leader for years. And he said, look, I've got to tell you, because somebody used to do a phone-in like leaders do, you know, and somebody came on and said, why is there so much litter in Manchester? And Councillor Stringer said, Greater Manchester City Council does not employ one single person whose job it is to go round and throw litter on the floor. But we employ 50 whose job it is to go round and pick it up. That's all I got.
Yeah, but they could be employed somewhere else. Instead of making the place dirty and yucky and filthy.
That might well have been the point he was making, but it also addresses your point, is that they don't have people going around picking it up. Good to talk to you, Jacqueline. How do Darren?
Hello, you're right, Allan.
Oh, very well.
Do you hear me, Allan? Belted.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, so yeah, I'm a nurse. I've been for 32 years and I was striking recently. And yeah, it is about the pay. But it's not just the pay. It really is about our future.
Of course it is. Well, your future earning your living.
Okay, let me tell you.
Your future earning your living.
Yeah, but I'm going to be retiring soon. Who's going to be looking after me?
Well, your strike
it's like any trade. If you don't
listen, Darren, if the government said to you, you win, we're going to give you £50 an hour, would you say, well, you see, the service is still pretty bad, so we're not going back yet?
No.
Or would you say, thank you very much, we're going back to it? It's about money.
It's not just about money. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it is the money.
Excellent.
It's about the state of the NHS and how it's going.
No, it's not. It's about money.
Oh.
At the end of your strike, the NHS will be in. I do. The NHS at the end of your strike will be in no better position than it is now. That's for certain.
How's that?
Changing the NHS will take a decade.
Yes, exactly. But if you don't start, then when it'll take then?
Darren,
okay,
what will get you back to work is wages. That's what will get you back to work.
Yeah.
Right. So
and
it's
that's what
about wages.
Student nurses in as well.
Absolutely.
Because
it's
we're getting
about
less
wages.
and less students. Yeah.
Indeed, you are.
Then, so that's where it's affecting the health. That's where it's affecting health.
I know it affects the health.
You've not got the staff, so right. But you're saying it's just about wages. It's not. It's about
okay. It's not. So when they increase, so when they say you win, here's the money you've asked for, you'll all stop out.
No, bloody hell, no. Go back in.
Oh, so when you get the money you asked for, you go back to work. But it's not about money, as long as we understand that.
No.
Darren, it's
Alan,
about money.
Listen, I've just explained it to you, so...
I know. I used to be a shop steward and tell the same kind of crap. Well, it's to improve the service on the buses.
You know
Here's
what?
some money. Thanks very much. We're back. What?
Anything for an argument there. You've not made...
Absolutely. And do you know why I do it?
You've not made an excellent point there, have you?
Well, you don't think I have, but what we have got is your agreement that if they give you the money you ask, you'll go back to work. Good night. How do, Carla? How do, Carla? Hello, Carla.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm ringing on behalf. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm ringing on. Need some advice, please. I'm desperate. I've got very noisy neighbours upstairs. I suffer from depression and anxiety anyway. And since November, they've moved in, and it's continuous partying and banging, shouting. We live in a block of flats. There's 5 in a block of flats. I live underneath the person who's doing it. I rung my housing association, and they don't do anything. I rung the police, they don't do anything. I've tried taking my life, which isn't done anything. And I don't know how I bought the street every day this week to get away from the noise at night. I can't do it anymore, Alan.
When you spoke to the housing association, what did they say? You said they did nothing. What did they say?
They just said to keep a log diary, which I have been doing since the this is the 5th of January, because when they moved in November, obviously they had to have a chance to move in and move the stuff, and they're excited, and then Christmas, and then New Year. So they're going to be excited and have their friends and family around. So I get, you know.
So when the housing association said keep a diary, did they tell you how long?
They haven't done anything else. They just said a week, and then they went to speak to the occupiers upstairs,
Right. So you say they
And
did nothing,
they said that.
but they did.
And they said that they're denying it, so it's just my word against them, basically. But what else can I do?
Well, when the Housing Association came back to you and said they are denying it, did they offer you any further advice?
No.
No. Do you have a mobile phone?
Yeah.
Might I suggest to you that you continue to keep the diary, but also, when the noise is loud, record it on your mobile phone.
I have been doing it, but the new progress have just rung me. They haven't come round to my address yet, and it's been going on since November.
I didn't understand the statement. They've not come round to my address. I thought you said they'd been to see you.
No, they went to see the occupants upstairs, and they denied it. And they didn't come. They didn't come here.
How did you find out that the occupants had denied it?
Because I got a phone call. I got a phone call of the housing officer.
Right. So the housing officer said, "We've been to visit the people, and they have denied it."
Yeah, to keep a diary.
So then you started to keep a diary.
On the 5th of January.
Have you, since you started keeping the diary, have you been back in touch with the housing association?
Yeah.
And
there's been nothing.
And what did you say to them? I've got the details here of the diary. What do they say?
I said I've been taking the diary like I've been advised. By yourself.
I didn't hear you then. You moved away from the microphone, so it's okay, don't worry.
I said I'd kept the diary like they advised. Mm-hmm. And it's 3 pages long, 4 A-sheet paper long. And they just said they're denying it, and they didn't tell me they didn't advise me to do anything else. That's it. That's end of.
Okay. Then get back in touch with the housing association and say a very, very specific question. Are you going to take any action on the basis of the diary I've been keeping, and get their answer? If they say no, we're doing nothing else, you've got an answer. If they say yes, ask them what they're going to do. Find out what the position is. Don't wait for them to approach you. Find out what their position is. And continue to keep the diary. But also, as I said, record some of the noise on your telephone. And save it. Don't lose it. And say to them, they're denying it. Well, if you come round here, I can play you a tape of it. I've recorded it. Okay.
Okay. If they carry on doing nothing, is there anybody I can go to?
There are people you can go to, but they also will want you to keep a diary, and they also will want you to find some evidence. When local authorities do it, and housing associations have the power also to do this, they sometimes supply tenants with a recording device, a formal recording device, so that tenant can then record it formally and action can be taken. Because one of the tenancy rules in housing associations is that you are not a disturbance to your neighbours, and people can be ejected from the property for that.
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't make any noises whatsoever.
I wasn't suggesting they were going to throw you out. I was suggesting they had the power to throw noisy neighbours out. And before they can do that, they have to reach a position where they've got They need some evidence, yes.
Yeah.
The diary is partially that, and the recording is partially that. So what I suggest you do is tomorrow ring the housing association and say, look, you say these people have denied it. Is that the end of the matter? And if they say yes, say, but I've got recordings of it. I'm going to record it, and I'll get back in touch with you when I've got the recordings. And if that doesn't work, go to see the Citizens Advice Bureau, who will explain to you the process of taking action and forcing the housing association to consider their position. All right?
Yeah.
So talk to the housing association tomorrow and say, where is my case up to? And if they say nothing because they denied it, say, well, I'm going to record it, and then they'll have nothing to deny.
I mean, at night, sometimes at night time, I feel safe and walk in the streets. Then I do in my own home.
Well, I understand that, but of course, walking the streets, the safety comes from the danger comes from extraneous matters which may never affect you. But if you're at home, it may be noisy, but you're at home and safer than on the street. So going on the street isn't the best option. But tomorrow, ring the housing association tomorrow and say, what is happening? Where is my case up to? What is happening? And if they say we've closed it because they denied it, then quite frankly, whenever a housing association or a local authority or any other organisation goes and knocks on the door and say, you're having too many parties, making too much noise, nobody says, it's a fair cop, Gov, we really are. They always deny it. So they have a process in the housing association of going beyond that denial. But get on to them tomorrow and say to them, where is my case up to? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good luck with it. I'll be back here on Saturday if you make no progress. But if they say we are doing nothing, then go to your Citizens Advice Bureau to find out what you can do further than the housing association poo-pooing it. All right? Start with that tomorrow. Carla, good luck with it. I'll do John.
Hi, Allan. Lovely to speak to you. I've listened to you. I've listened to you for many years, and I've never spoke before now. Can I say, that lady, Carla, I feel for her. The people upstairs are scum being reared. They're being reared by scum. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I don't know what you've got to justify that with, but I know what you mean.
Well, they're doing it because they're not aware it's affecting any neighbours. But anyway, the reason I rang really, the reason I dialed your number is I was listening to you speaking to Margaret. And if you have an egg that you're about to cook, if you put it in water and it floats, throw it in the bin, Allan. And you, Margaret, throw it in the bin. If it doesn't float, eat it and enjoy it.
Okay.
Well, okay. Another thing, I know I've only got minutes, but I'll be very quick. People are concerned about elderly people and how they manage in this society that we're living in. I'm in my 70s, and I consider myself fairly computer literate. But I got a fine the other day for parking somewhere that I shouldn't have, which is my own fault. But it said if you pay the fine within 28 days, it's halved. It's from £70 to £35. And you know what? Paying it, Allan, has been not impossible, but very, very difficult. You know, you get on the phone, you try to pay it, and you're punching in the numbers, and they're saying, that's the wrong number. You go on the internet, and you try to solve it, and you can't. They're making life very difficult. You can't speak to a human being on the telephone to sort it. I have sons.
You say that you're fairly computer literate. I got a fine.
Well, I thought I was.
And I went on the internet and paid it in about 30 seconds.
What? You're fine?
Yeah.
Well, I can use the computer. I mean, I paid my car tax through the computer.
No, I'm just saying that you seem to think that the system for paying your fine via the computer, the internet, it is complicated, and I found it perfectly simple. So I don't know.
Well, I don't know whether I'm going to say you were lucky, but anyway, maybe it's me being stupid. And I have sons who will sort it for me. But what I'm saying to you is, it's very difficult for society out there now to do a simple thing like paying a fine.
John, as you said at the outset of the call, you're aware that we've not got long left. Well, now we've got no time at all left. Sorry, Gary. Sorry, Jill. I've been Beswick. See you next Saturday at 10. Till.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
English. Reports from California say armed police have found a body in a van they'd broken into as they were searching for the suspect in a mass shooting. 10 people were killed at a dance venue in Monterey Park in Los Angeles. It's believed the body found in the van was the suspect who'd apparently shot himself. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, condemned the shooting, which took place during Lunar New Year celebrations.
A time of a cultural celebration. And yet another community has been torn apart by senseless gun violence. All of us in this room and in our country understand this violence must stop.
The BBC has been told the chairman of the Conservative Party, Nadeem Zahawi, paid a penalty to resolve a dispute with tax officials last year. Reports say Mr Zahawi paid back tax he'd owed, as well as a 30% penalty. It's understood the total settlement amounted to around £5 million. His aides insist he won't be resigning. Some households which cut their electricity use later will get discounts off their bills. A plan to lower demand during peak hours in cold weather will be used for the first time between 5 and 6 p.m. The scheme's only available to homes with smart meters and whose energy supplier is signed up to it. National Grid has also asked for 3 coal-fired generators to be warmed up, but says the measures don't mean that power supplies are at risk. The Business Secretary, Grant Shapps, has warned that he'll name and shame energy suppliers which aren't doing enough to support vulnerable customers. In a letter to firms, Mr Shapps said they should stop forcing customers onto prepayment meters. The charity Citizens Advice has previously called for a ban on the practice. These prepayment customers have shared their experiences with the BBC.
They cut me off for being 33p. Just over.
Like it's never going to end. There's not a light at the end of the tunnel for anybody. It is just absolutely diabolical.
They just go off. Everything clicks off when you can't top them up. And people are left in the dark, in the cold. They may need their medical equipment powered by electricity.
Former employees of the Welsh Rugby Union have told the BBC there was a culture of sexism at the organisation. Charlotte Wathan joined in 2018, tasked with taking women's rugby to the next level.
There was an attitude that it was okay to make derogatory comments, to make sexist/sexual comments around women or about women within groups of the organisation. It was always sort of palmed off as banter.
The Welsh Rugby Union says it takes any allegations from staff seriously and is committed to equality, diversity and inclusion. Welsh Rugby in the Spotlight is on iPlayer from 5 p.m. today and on BBC One Wales at 8 p.m. And in football, Arsenal have retained control of the Premier League after a 3-2 win against Manchester United. They're 5 points clear of Manchester City, who beat Wolves 3-0. BBC News is just coming up to 3 minutes past 1.